Information is power.
Peace, everybody out there. Welcome to the Information Man Show. Sorry, we were a little bit late trying to get things together. But I appreciate everybody out there that's in the chat room, and those that will be listening, and those that will come in as the show goes on.
Information is power.
Tell the truth. Tell the truth.
Information Man Show. Okay, everybody. I want to thank everybody that's here, that's in the chat room, that's there. I really appreciate it. We got some good people in the chat room, and I'm hopefully other folks will come in as the show goes on. I have a beautiful guest on, a sister that I've known for a while. She is a radio dynamic sister. She has a show on Blog Talk Radio, IDECLAIR show, and you better roar, as she always says. I'm going to bring her on in just a minute, and we're going to talk about a variety of different things, but I want everybody to hear, most importantly, some of the folks that she's done broadcast with, brothers like Lee Michaels, who is a legendary radio producer back in our U.S. radio news days, and I want her to express some of the issues and things that she tackles on her own show. Now, she's taking a little bit of a hiatus from her show right now because she's transitioning, trying to move, and packing things up. But she's going to get back on it, get back on the case very heavily. We're going to talk about politics tonight. That's right. We're going to talk about issues that affect Black people, people all over this world, but in particularly the Black community. We're going to talk about Trump. That's right, I'm Trump triggered. Okay, for those of you, oh, you Trump triggered information, man. Yeah, I'm Trump triggered because he's doing some things that's impacting Black folks as well. And it looks like we're getting ready to go into a possible recession. His economic plan, as he said, trust me, Black folks, what do you have to lose? You know I'm talking about that guy Spike Lee talks about, that guy in the White House.
In the White House. I'm not gonna say his name.
That makes me want to laugh. But I'm gonna bring India on in just a moment, and we're gonna tackle a variety of issues. Now we're gonna need chat room participation. So I'm gonna be reading people's statements in the chat room. What's going on, Owl Express? I'm ready for you, Infoman, to call me. It's okay. What's going on? Hey, you know, your name is Owl Express 3. I'm going to say it right. I'm really bad with names. I have a sort of a tongue twist problem. But I'm glad that you're here. We got my man, the real Brooklyn. The real Brooklyn. How's everybody doing? He says. And then we got my sister, Smooth. R&B, Neo Soul Smooth, QT1, B1 to you, sister, before the live even starts. Right. Peace to you all that's in the chat room. And then I haven't forgotten you. We've got my man. Okay, my mic sounds choppy. Yeah, it's one of the problems with this stream yard, man. I'm telling you, man, it's my system that I'm working from is all fine, but StreamYard has some problems because I noticed that sometimes it'll chop, the sound will chop in and chop out. So right now, as I'm talking too close to the mic. That could be part of the problem. I don't know. But everybody in the chat room, if the sound is sounding a little bit better, just let me know something by making a message or putting a 1 or yes, it sounds better info, or no, it sounds bad. It's just something with the StreamYard. It's a streaming system. It's not an app-based system. It's got some quirks to it when it comes to sound. Let me see right here. So let me, hopefully y'all can let me know what's going on as the stream goes on. What's going on? Call Mississippi, Infoman, and chat. Hey, good to have you here, brother. I'm really, I hate that the sound is not sounding that great right now. Let me know if it's getting better, folks. Let me know. How's everybody doing today? The real Brooklyn says again. And we got Owl Express, Information Man, heck, 5 dislikes before the live streamed. Well, 5 dislikes? I look like I got 2 dislikes and I got 13 likes so far. Maybe they didn't like your music. Yeah, you know what it could be? Maybe the music did not sound good because of the choppiness of the stream. So I apologize for that. If the stream is sounding a little choppy, it's not my fault. It's the actual streaming system that's got some quirks in it that they got to fix. Those guys who came up with this, they've got to fix some of these problems. So let me see. No sound really, really bad. No, sounding really, really bad. Golly. Let me see. This is what I'm going to do. And hopefully, I'm going to take my volume down here a little bit. Let me know if that sounds a little bit better. I took my volume down off my mix board. Let me know if that's sounding a little bit better, that I took some of the sound off. Maybe it's some of the crackiness is coming from the mix board or something. But with that said, let me bring in my sister, India, Declare. She's a dynamic sister. I used to follow her show, Me and Lions Den, who's supposed to be on with us tonight. I used to follow her show way back when, and I used to enjoy her commentary. No, I did enjoy her commentary, enjoyed what she said. I love hearing her roar the truth. And sister gets into a lot of political issues. And so as the show goes on, just let me know how the sound is. I apologize for the sound. I have no control, really. I'm trying to see if lowering my volume could make it sound better. But with that said, it's better? Okay. So QT1 says it's better. So maybe what it is that I have to lower my volume on my mix board a little bit so that the sound doesn't come out too screechy, because I have a powerful mix board here. So I think that's great. It sounds better. Thank you. Okay. With that said, I want to introduce everybody to my sister, and the number one sister that I've been enjoying her commentary over the years, and that's my sister, India. Declare.
Wow, Information Man, thank you so much.
I've got you right here. I'm gonna come in. I'm coming to you right now, Sister Boom. How you doing?
There I am. I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Everybody, hey, people are coming into the chat room.
I see.
We're having some sound problems that they're letting me know that there was some crackling. So I'm thinking maybe that I have my mix board at a too high rate, and maybe that's contributing to the cracking sound. So I brought it down a little bit. and hopefully it will sound better.
Right. Whatever you did, it definitely reduced the sound like digitizing or
Yeah.
something of that nature. Yeah.
I think it probably was the what I would call the compression or something was bothering it. And I want to thank whoever in there gave me the super chat. We got great Nikki. We got Noman the Great. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you for the super chat.
I really appreciate that. Both your sounds good. Okay, so you know what what's happened here, folks. You've helped me discover what's been the problem, and that is I need to bring the compression down a little bit on my mix board. I usually have it full blast. Now, if I was doing a Google Hangout right now, I could have it at full blast and it wouldn't be any problem. So I can't have my volume or my compression up too high. I've got it in the right sweet spot. So thank you. That's probably been the problem. So everybody, this is India. India, let everybody know who you are. Give them a little breakdown about your shows, some of the political commentary you've gotten into over the years. Give people a little bit of your perspective, because I want to talk about a lot of different things tonight related to politics, social issues, family issues, just a little bit of everything. I'm glad that you're here, by the way, sister. So peace to you.
Thank you so much, information man. Thank you. You know, we've been rocking since I think 2007. Hey everybody. I'm India Declare, aka IDECLAIR. I started podcasting. I actually did a written blog first. And I first off, I'm a writer. So that's at the root of everything, is writing. And I was doing this blog in 2007, and I was, on the computer like everybody else, and I came across this computer radio show, and it was on this thing called US Talk Network. And it was one of the most compelling and innovative and thought-provoking and inspiration galvanizing media experiences I've ever had.
Wow.
And Mr. Lee Michaels and the now late great ancestor, Mr. Andre Eglishon, were the founders of US Talk Network. And I'm listening to these, what I call brilliant brother minds, go at it and deal with the difficult. That's the tag of my show, dealing with the difficult real raw right now. And I'm saying, who are these cats? I have never, who are these cats? Whoever these cats are, I'm side saddled with them. And I just started listening to them. And remember, of course, Kaz Carson, another tremendous radio personality and thought galvanizer, and so I'm listening to these brilliant brother minds, and I'm calling in, and I can't put it down. I've got the computer on, and I can't, and so I started calling in, and I told him about my blog, and Andre said, Indy, I want you to write something for me. And of course I did, and I submitted it and everything. And I don't know, just one thing kind of led to another. I was doing a show on Blog Talk Radio from 2007, and I guess they would pop over and listen to me, basically go off. And Mr. Michael asked me one day, somebody didn't show up. I think it was Mr. Carson. He couldn't come on, and Mr. Michael said, India, can you go? And I remember, I remember, I'll never forget it. I said, give me that microphone. And and he said, all right. And from there, we just kind of melded, and it was one of the greatest media experiences of my entire life.
Wow. India, you got a fan in here by the name of Top Notch. Do you know who that is? He said, how'd you pull it off?
I definitely remember Top Notch in our chat room. Is that where I'm remembering that from?
Yeah, remember the chat room? Top Notch.
Absolutely, of course. Yeah, this is, these the more economically vulnerable people are, the more serious the issues and the impact of the varying issues are. And so we are naturally sophisticated policy navigators because of the bullshit basically that we have to go through of people of color and the systemic racism and oppressive grid of
Yes.
policy. And
Right.
so when one gets down to that, everything from the taxation of the fuel in your gas tank to the amount of water in your toilet tank, all of that is modulated and dependent on someone in a position of policy implementing power. And so that's where, and it's weird and nerdy and boring and irritating and annoying and hellacious and all of that. But I just believe that we have to pay attention to that. And we cannot just give all of our attention to, and I love pop culture, but we cannot give the majority of our mindset over to pop culture, because I believe that that serves a purpose too in terms of distraction and
Right.
keeping us unaware of the oppressive and offensive policies that are deliberate in their construction and implemented fiercely to maintain control, containment, and ultimately power. And so that's what I'm all about speaking about.
Well, and then let me do something right quick. We've got a lot of people now. Top Notch says that he goes way back with you. Um, and I can read some things on the screen that you can't see right now. But let me I got some folks in here that has been following me for quite some time. We got Old Reliable in the house. Peace to you, Old Reliable. We got brother Deep in Thought. We got
Yes.
Owl Express. We got the Great Black Shark in the house. Thank you for
Yes.
being here. We got brother Duvian in the house. We got Sister QT1 in the house. There's somebody else I wanted to give some acknowledgement to. Let me pull up. Let me see here. We got Sunny Boxing Talk in the house. Oh, we got my man Earl Owens, and we got my man who goes by the name Mr. Male Advice. He has a very good show. Everybody, check out his YouTube channel. The brother's trying to build his channel up. Check him out.
Okay.
He gives great advice as it relates to men's issues.
Yes.
Brother has that smooth Caribbean accent. He's from, I believe, Jamaica or somewhere that such. But check
Yeah.
him out. She Simple Unsync. What's going on? Welcome. So there's a lot of people that are coming
I
in.
love it.
QT1 says, "Hey, info in chat. I'm listening from lab while my phone quickly charged so I can listen poolside." Okay, I appreciate you doing that, sister. Appreciate you doing that.
That's great.
Let me go down. And then we got my man Sosa in the chat room.
Yes.
And he's in there. Peace to him. I'm kind of bad with names, but it's good to have a lot of these folks in here. And hopefully more folks will come in as the show goes on, and then there'll be folks that will listen even after. So you talked about some issues about what's happening to Black people as it relates to in politics. You talk about that on your show about politics, the
Absolutely.
social issues. What
Mhm.
I want to do is I want to share my screen, and I hope you can see this too, India.
Mhm.
Earlier today, there was a young man who was mistreated by the police in a horrible way. Again, another almost like an Eric Garner. I believe they choked him. I'm going to show this right now and share my screen for everybody to see this right now. So everybody, bear with me as I get ready to present this to you. I'm going to present it to the whole screen all together.
Mhm.
India, can you see that on the screen right now?
Yes, sir, I can.
Okay. And I'm sure everybody else can see. Everybody in the chat room, hopefully you will be able to hear the sound on this. If you can't, let me know so that I can just quickly go back in and play this again until you can hear it. So let me know if you can hear it by putting a yes or a one in the chat room, and I'll look and see. But I'm about to begin to play this, and here it goes. Okay, what I want everybody in the chat room and as well as yourself, India, I want you to pay close attention. I'm going to bring it back. I need everyone to see where he was being choked. Now, the officer kind of smacked him in the face, talking about good fake. You're faking, right? The guy said that he could not breathe, another Eric Gardner situation. And let me let you see this again, where he had him in the headlock. Look at that right there. I'm stopping it. See, he's got the arm around him. And he's got him like that. Now, let me play this again. This is important. Right there. Let me stop right there. Now, when the officer had him in a headlock, they also turned around and they tased him. So he's getting headlocked at the same time that he's being tased. He's being tased and at the same time being choked there. You tell me, everybody in the chat room, is that excessive force? Is that overdoing it? Because I think it's over effing doing it. The man, you can tell he's on the ground. He's not putting up much of any fight. They're subduing him. And then they topple it with giving him a phase. Let's hear this again. Now, you see how the officer jumped up and put his arm on him. That's excessive force. Then the girlfriend or the significant other is concerned about him. She touches him. The officer says, "You're repeating my job," or whatever. And he kind of touches him in the face like he's some boy. And he says, "Good fake there." This is the sort of mistreatment that we're getting in this society in India. And I know you know this because you've talked about this stuff on your program. And
absolutely,
let me play this audio from one Jason Black, because this is the reality that Black people are in this society. And Jason Black of the Black Channel gives a prison metaphor. And this is why this is happening to us in this society. And here it goes.
No debating, no asking questions. This is the rule. And I want to ask you a question as Black people. Are you prepared to be honest enough with yourself to accept and to acknowledge that you are living under prison politics? And that instead of trying to deny that you are in the prison and attempting to deny that you are living under prison politics and the rules of prison politics, that you just accept it for what it is. That this is what it is. This is the prison. This is the prison yard. This is the cell block. This is what it is. There is no special housing unit.
So let me.
Information is power.
So basically, what Jason Black is saying is that it's the same thing that Neely Fuller Jr. states, that Black people, we're living in this society almost like we're in a prison or behind enemy lines. And as it relates to that, we are subject to this type of treatment. Even a Lion's Den, just a week ago, we did a show where him and his wife were in a store buying a melon, and someone came up to him, white guy, and said, "Oh, y'all sure like melons." And now he lives in Tennessee, Memphis, Tennessee, and he was shook by that. And I told him straight up on this program, and everyone did, that we're living in an environment where this is subject to possibly happen or will happen. So we should no longer act surprised by these things, because we are, in a sense, behind an enemy line where these things are subject to happen to us. So I wanted to put that on your mind, India. And I also wanted to show that video. And I hope everybody in the chat room absorbed that video, took that in, because I'm going to read some of your comments. But go right ahead and give me your reaction to what you saw in that video and your reaction to the prison metaphor that Jason Black of the Black Channel, and shout out to him, was talking about as it relates to why these things happen to us. Go right ahead, India.
Thank you, Information Man. That is an obviously a tragic video. What I saw was a gentleman who was not resisting at all, and he's clearly laying there, and you can see the chokehold formation and all of that. What I will also say is that I agree with Mr. Black. I will say that I believe that the conditioning is, of course, so permeated that we as Black people have a mindset, a marinated mindset of being controlled and contained. We know not to, when we step out of our home, we know not to do certain things, and we've all had the talk. And I've told my daughter, she had her inspection sticker, it was a little out of date, and I said no, like, you get the inspection sticker up to date. Do not give them any reason to pull you over, because once you're in that context, you lose control, or you could lose control. So we know as a people that we are scrutinized, we are harassed, we are surveilled, we know these things. So I do agree with Mr. Black that there is a mindset of control and containment, and that mindset empowers some. And we also have to be very conscious and conscientious about who creates the policy architecture for that to happen, and for that officer and the officers that carry themselves that way, for them to maintain employment in spite of it, with video evidence. It's amazing to me that it even took 5 years to discipline the former officer there in New York. So these things we know, and that is another reason why I just believe that there's a certain level of constant awareness maintenance that we must employ, and we must not allow ourselves to be too entertained. So that's just me. Now, some people are like, India, you are always, a skunk at the party. I mean, because I just, and look, I have police in my family. Okay, so I know the inside, I know the other side. When you come home and you take the BPV off, and you take the polyester uniform off, and your dad, so I get that part. So, like, this is just a grander, orchestrated, deliberately architectured, systemic implementation of containment and control. That's my opinion. Maybe some people disagree with it. And, and then within that system, some people are successful, and, but no matter how successful one is, to me, the greatest evidence is the former president of the United States, Barack Obama. No matter how successful one is that is Black and or of color, one is subjected to racial denigration, and there is an expectancy of tolerating it. So, I could go on and on, but there you have it.
India, let me say something real quick. We've got someone right here. I'm going to put it on the thing. B1 for life. While a naked white murderer runs down cops without a shot. Yeah, India, I got two
I know. I saw that. I saw that.
He,
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah, he ran. He chased after a cop who had a military rifle.
Right.
Then he ran up to another man and choked him. And then they said he murdered, I think, two women. And he's running around butt naked, and not one buckshot, not one BB gun shot, not even a squirt water gun shot at this man. And yet black men, particularly black men and black women, we get shot for when the officer says, "Let me see your license and registration." And like what happened to Orlando Castile in Minnesota, he says, "Officer, I have a license to carry a gun. I'm letting you know I have a gun in the car, and I'm showing you my license," and he gets shot.
Correct.
While this man chases after a police officer. I wish I had that footage right now.
Yeah, I saw it today, and I kept rerunning it. If you didn't see it, you wouldn't believe it. But because we are systemically treated this way, we know that there is this blazing double standard, and apparently, regardless of income and or stature and level of power, one is subjected to that double standard.
Mm-hmm. Well, India, let me ask you another question. There's a sister that's real dynamic in the chat room. She said that there's a study that shows that black people are becoming desensitized to violence, and that could be a contributing factor to why when you have certain violence in certain black communities where you have social economic problems. Let me ask you this question, because they come out with all kind of studies. Mm-hmm. Whether some could be true, some may not be true. And we got Lions Den with us. I'm gonna bring them on in a little bit.
Okay.
Do you think that black people, that we are becoming more and more desensitized to violence I think as a society, we're becoming desensitized to violence as a society overall. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to black people, because of what we've gone through, even in our own families, in this society, are we being desensitized to violence, and it just rolls down our back that it makes it easier for us to be nasty towards each other? What are your thoughts?
I will say yes, and I will say that again. It is like if you look up to the galaxy at night and you see the galaxy of stars and the constellation and the complexity, I would say it's like that. Again, it is this weird conditioning, what I put in quotes as entertainment. We have to be very careful about what we consider to be entertainment, what we allow ourselves and our children to take in as background noise. Mm-hmm. Somebody had it was an old movie, I don't know if it was a Western or something, and there was a scene, and just the way the male character grabbed, they were all white people, and the way the male character grabbed the woman and threw her down and all. I'm just like, what the? So like we have been conditioned from inception. Look at the cartoons that even my generation, and I'm a little long in the tooth, honey, but look at the cartoons like that we watched when we were kids, and the veiled violence, with a laugh track and colorful pinks and greens and yellows and purples. And you think about, when you think about your favorite cartoon character, you see color. You know, like if I think about the Flintstones, I see the orange and the black and the blue and the yellow. So it's like we have violence has been sugar coated. Violence has been candied appled. And
That's right.
so
That's
then,
right.
so then as we get older, and we like our this and we like our that, just look at it. Look at the commercials. Look at the TV, films, hell, soap operas. You cannot get away from it. Then you turn on the reality and you've got a batch of old broads sitting there, brawling and yelling at each other and everything. So we have been, again, it goes back to conditioning. I think that this entire Euro experience, and I know of no other, so I haven't lived in Africa, I haven't lived in Australia, so just this American experience is rooted in a deliberate
Well, India,
conditioning.
let me go ahead and acknowledge a few people in the chat room, and I want to go to Lion's Den. Let him say a few, as I know he's got some
Hi,
words for you.
LD.
I'm gonna bring him on in just a moment, and I also want to play back that video so that he can get a little taste of what we're talking about. GG, it's good to have you here. Makeham's in the house. Who else do we got out there? Oh, what's going on, Miss Reed? I subscribe to her show. She's got a good channel. Thank you for coming over and supporting me, Miss Malo Reed. I'm glad to have you here. I'm not in Pusha Studios tonight. I know they had a big thing over in Pusha Studios. But let me see some other folks in here. That is not good at all. You're right, it's not good at all. Let me just say this. I'm going to say this again. Violence in America, people are desensitized to a lot of violence that we have in America. Now, they've said for years that video games are what's making people violent. It's the music and what have you. But there's something unique and different about American society, because there's other cultures, like in Japan. They play video games in Japan. Where do you think all that stuff came from? They play all that. Other cultures don't have this propensity to violence in their society the way we have in America, and they got access to the same violent material that we have. Okay, I think Australia got rid of their semi-automatic weapons. England, well, they don't have a lot of gun problems in England, but they got knife problems. They got knife wars. People over there getting stabbed and stuff. I've done videos about that. So there's something about our culture, whether it be the military, when we said, let's go get them, when George Bush said, we're going to go get them, they blamed everything on Saddam Hussein, talking about weapons of mass destruction, and they didn't even find nothing, right, that we know of, right? So America has this thirst like a vampire for violence, and we grow up in this stuff. And then they turn around and say, well, what about black on black crime? As if crime is a pathology to black people, when overall crime is amassed in this society, and all groups commit crime on each other at very high rates when they live in close proximity to each other. Lions Den, let me bring you on, brother. Glad to have you here. Unmute you. What's going on, Lions Den?
Hey everybody. Hey in India. How's everything
LD,
going?
how are you? Good to see you.
Good to see you too. I apologize for being late. I just celebrating my mother-in-law's 74th birthday, and that's mainly the reason why it took me so long to get in studio, get in the show today.
Oh, that's wonderful. Please give her our regards and have a glowing 74. That's fabulous.
Yes. So I'm so happy to talk with you, India. And Info. Thank you for inviting me to the show and a special program. And you was talking about violence, and what we're seeing is that there's so much mass shootings across this country, perpetuated by who. But the question I would like to ask you, India, is this: that why would be so much violence happening in this country? I mean, with mass shootings and with so much stuff with racial violence, why is it always happens in this country?
Well, I will say again that these things are tentacled. And have you noticed in the news recently that the pharmaceutical industry is being challenged in court, and the litigants are in fact winning, and varying pharmaceutical industries are beginning to basically pay up in terms of being liable for the opioid crisis. And again, I will sidestep that and say that it became a crisis when Caucasian people begin to be really impacted by the litany of opioids that have been distributed. So, what I will say is the reason why I brought that up is because I believe in liability. And so I think that in 2004, the assault weapons ban was allowed to sunset. Okay, so that law, which banned assault weapons, that was allowed to sunset in 2004. And I've been, if you read my social media timeline, you know that I have been all about this law, and I've talked about it on my show for years. This law that passed in 2005 and was signed by Mr. G.W. Bush in 2005. This law was the number one priority of the NRA. That's not me saying that. You can read it in the New York Times. It was the number one priority of the NRA. And what it did was, it's called the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act, and it's also known as the Gun Industry Immunity Law. And so what it did was it immunized gun manufacturers and dealers and distributors. And so when you immunize a the grid of an industry, the core of an industry, when you immunize that industry from liability, if you look at the data, the sales of guns like skyrocket after that law. So see, this just doesn't happen like pie in the sky. There's stuff underneath all of this that happens. And so if you study the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act and the enormity of that law and what that law encapsulates and what that law put out into our society, then you fast forward to today, from 2005 to today. Yeah, we've got more guns than people circulated. We've got all of this freak ammo and all this kind of stuff. Yeah, because the manufacturers, distributors, and dealers have immunity from liability. So what I submit is that when one has liability, if I'm liable for how many people you gonna kill, I'm gonna make sure that I scrub your ass down and make sure I know who, what, when, why, how, where, how much, and how far I'm gonna sell you whatever kind of gun. I don't care if it's even a water gun. Okay, so when you remove liability, then it only makes sense that we have what we have in society today. So what you have is, and it's a very low grade, under the
Tell the
radar,
truth.
but you do have people, some of the, Lord Jesus, these dear families that had to suffer um, in the Connecticut, the Newtown, the babies. The fool walked in there. He killed his mama, walked in there and killed the second graders and the teachers and stuff. So what you have are some of those families have come together and have challenged the Protection of Lawful Commerce in Arms Act.
Information is power.
Yes, you must know. See, this is not just happening pie out of the sky. This is quiet, a deliberate, orchestrated policy architecture. And until we care enough about that, as much as we care about who won the basketball game and what shoe and what purse and what hair and what nails and all that, until we bring the same amount of intensity and concern and compassion to the policies that control, contain, and let's face it, condemn us,
Right.
then we're going to continue to live by the bullshit that we have. And so, to me, at the root of it is policy. And there is a reason why most people don't know about that law. And even though we are all impacted by it. And that's just
Well,
the God's honest truth.
Well, in India, I got a few questions to ask you, but I'm going to go back to the Lions Den. I think you made very good points. You were on the money. There are folks in the chat room that are making some really good points here. Let's see. QT says they let all the white checkheads go that way. The black epidemics, game 3 strikes, the pollution in our communities that cause cancer will not to break the devil. Let me say this. There was another brother by the name of brother Earl Owens who said this statement right here. I just want to go over some of these statements. Lions Den. I watched a video about a brother getting kicked off a plane and he got replaced by a dog. Ain't that a shame? He got replaced by a dog.
Tell the truth.
So, India, you said policies. Now, some say, I've heard this, is that when it came to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., that one of the reasons why he was assassinated is because he was changing public policy. He was getting ready to go outside the box of just marching, where he was going to go after corporations, Pepsi Cola, Coca-Cola. He was going to start boycotting what was happening to people when it came to workplace issues. Which is why he went back to Memphis when the sanitation worker brothers got crushed in the sanitation truck there.
Correct.
And Dr. King, I don't know if you remember this quote. Many people have not heard this quote, but Dr. King said 2 of the most dangerous things in American society is sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity. Okay. And you said that something that was very important to me, that you don't care about the entertainment. I personally right now do not watch regular cable television. I don't care about the MTV Music Awards. I don't care about Grammys. I don't care about football's about to start. I haven't looked at preseason, or do I care about it, or is it on my mind? All right. There are too many important things to talk about. Now, here on YouTube, we have panels. We get into panel discussions. I've been on panels where I debate with people. We get a little heated at times. And I'm getting to a point where if we're not talking about solutions to our problems, because I want to talk to you about solutions too,
right,
then it's really a waste of breath and time to debate with people all over the damn country who you're not going to see in person on issues when you're not talking about you're not looking for solutions to our problems. And I know that everything starts for us with family. Family has to be the basis of how we get ourselves out of this mess. Lions Den, I'm bringing it over to you, brother. You have anything you want to bring up? By the way, Lions Den, let you look at this video one more time. Or let you look at the video because other folks have seen it. But I think you need to see this, brother. Most definitely. Let me get ready. And what's going on, my man, Art New Style TV? I got to hook you up with him, sister. And he's a great brother out of the LA area, an artist. Great art. He's a very conscious brother, thinks with a critical eye, gives a great assessment. I got to hook you two up together, do some things. You got to, India, your voice is definitely needed on platforms like this. But let me go behind the scenes here and pull up this video. Let me know if you guys can hear it. Like as always, let me bring this back. Lions Den. Let me maybe I need to unmute you. Let me see. Let me unmute you because I want to make sure you can hear this, brother. And here it goes. Listen to this. This is crazy. Lions Den.
Yes, sir.
Are you using that? Are you using that the iPhone, brother? I'm hearing that
Yeah,
popping.
unfortunately, I am using the iPhone, which but like I said, I didn't have a choice using it because
Yeah, but
I'm out and about. But I did saw the video and I did post it on my platform as well. Um, the state of Illinois, and a lot of people don't know that the state of Illinois, thinking about in 2005, has banned the chokehold. And what happened was that unless it's been legally threatened, that they cannot use any chokehold like it was in New York. But
Mhm.
this brother right now, I mean, the police is allowing this to happen, using this chokehold, and basically now it's because like I said, I posted on that video about that story, and his girlfriend was the one did the filming, did the video itself, and it's
Mhm.
all live. So the thing of it is that it's heartbreaking that I saw this story, and again the police is under an investigation of this brutality, but it shows that police officers still doing what they're doing best, and that's enjoying a chokehold, and they try to cover the story up.
okay, so Lions Den. Everybody in the chat room, please let me know if the sound is okay. Lions Den, are you telling me that this happened? Because there was a young lady who came in who was wondering where this. There was a young lady who came in that was wondering where this took place. Are you telling me that this happened in Illinois, the state of Illinois, and that the chokehold is been ruled illegal in the state of Illinois? Can you is that what you're saying?
Yes, that's exactly what it's saying. It's happened in Illinois, and basically the law in Illinois just passed in 2005, banning this chokehold. So unless if it's legally threatened, then the chokehold shouldn't even been done in the first place.
Mhm.
Okay. So basically we have another case in which the police have done something illegally to the young man, and you can tell that he wasn't putting up a fight. And let me just say, let's make this clear for everybody. Even if this young man did something, let's say he did something that was warranted to be arrested for, you still did not see him put up some fight where he was fighting the officers. They had him
Correct.
in a subdue position on the ground. There's nothing he could do. Hell, they even had a dog. And as Al Express said, the dog didn't want nothing to do with that as they walked past.
Mhm.
Um, so they had no right doing this to him like this. But this is what continues to go on in our community. And I'm going to say this, and people out there won't like it. Those of you who like to use the term Trump triggered, yes, I'll be Trump triggered. I think that Donald Trump in his presidency has given a license to a lot of these groups out here who do not like us. And when he talks the way he talks and speaks in a dog whistle formation or fashion, he is given a license for people to go out and do what they did. The fact that the police officer in New York just lost his job, but he did not go to jail, right? Am I right about that, India? The
Yes,
police
this. I
officer
mean,
that
it's astonishing with video proof.
so in New York, Eric Garner was choked, and he died from that. The officer was fired from his job, but he was not prosecuted. You see where I'm going with this is that there are too many examples where they're seeing that they can get away with taking our life and they can get away with it, and they're emboldened. I'm going to say
And
this
see,
again.
that's why, and I hate to interrupt you. That's why voting matters, because you know who blunted that prosecution was the Attorney General, Barr. Barr protected Mr. I think his name is Pantaleo, if I'm not mistaken. Barr protected Mr. Pantaleo from being held criminally liable, responsible, and so what if we would have had a different attorney general?
Well,
So that's why it's so important and I know it's jacked, and it's they jacking the vote, and they do not, but we still have to show up and go through the process. We can't just say, oh well, my stuff doesn't count, my vote doesn't count, my participation doesn't count, because think of a different attorney general, a different outcome, possibly, not for certain, but just possibly.
Let me just go ahead and say this, India. Although I understand your sentiments and where you're coming from, but let's be honest, sister. A lot of this stuff this stuff's been happening beyond. I'm going to get to you, Lions, then I'm going to come back to you, brother. Believe me. This has been happening before Obama, Jimmy. It's been happening with black people throughout all presidencies. But
since this country's inception.
Exactly. But I have to lay this criticism, though. I'm sorry. I have to be honest. When Obama was in office and you had Eric Holder as the attorney general, black people were being mistreated like this. And you had police still getting off, even under the Obama administration, where you did have a black attorney general. And then after Eric Holder stepped down, who was the other sister who came in?
Ms. Lynch.
Okay. Maybe we may have different opinions here, India, but
no, I think we're very much aligned.
Okay. Nothing
because
changed.
I remember, right. I remember just doing too many hours of broadcasting where and I would always say, and Alpha is texting me, and he's wanting to contact you and get on in here info. But Alpha and I and House Music Lover, we would always say, with all due respect, the olive branch strategy is not working with these cats.
It did not work at all. Let me say this, India. This is how you can get him in here, because it's not an app-based link, it's a stream-based link. All you got to do is forward him, because I don't have his email right now. Forward him the link that I sent to you.
Oh, got it. Okay. I'm literally doing it right now. Wait, hold on.
And then all Alpha has to do, if he's listening right now, all he has to do, if he has a home computer. I think Lions didn't just left. If he has a home computer, then all he has to do is click that link in the email and come into the show. If he's got a phone, a smartphone, he can click the link on his smartphone and come in on his phone as well.
Okay, got it. Okay. I love this. Okay, I'm literally doing it like right now. Okay, so I just sent him. Okay, so I just sent him the link. Okay, so
just send him the link. Let him come in. I've been wanting to hear his voice. It's been a long time.
I know.
And like I told you, I want to bring Alpha in as a fixture in my show. Folks need to hear Brother Alpha.
Alpha is one of the baddest cats. Look, one thing about US Talk Network, it put voice and mind and mindset with that microphone, and it provided a platform for who I will forever refer to as brilliant brother minds coming together and opening up on these airwaves. And in the realm of all this AM right wing crap, and I do mean crap in all caps, in the realm of all of that, we need brilliant brother minds and brilliant sister minds who are courageous and willing to come on up here and put your perspective out there. You used the word thirst earlier, and that stuck, because I believe there is a desert dry thirst for accurate, informative, data-based realness for the airwaves. I've had enough. Look, I was just saying it today. And I love a good Bloody Mary, but I am so sick of the partying. and the hair weave and the nails and the gold plated and the logos and the having time for everybody else and spending money with everybody damn else and don't know a damn thing about what's going on with your people in your country and the systemic, albeit invisible, systemic architecture that is suppressing, containing, and controlling us as a people. So, like, I don't want any more award shows. I don't need no more taffeta. I don't want no more weave or whatever they call it, where they put the wig up on the forehead. I don't want any of that. What I want, I don't care if you're bald. I don't care if you got plugs. I don't care if you're fat, skinny, white, black. I don't care who you are. What I want is somebody who is able to figure out how we can go forward economically, how we can go forward spiritually, mentally, physically, psychological, how we can go forward. That's what we have to do. And if you ain't about being forward, bye. And that's just all I got. I mean, I just don't have no time for it. I'm sorry.
India, we're having some we're having some well, I'm hearing some weird audio sound in the back. I don't know if folks in the chat room are hearing that. Wait, hang on for one moment, India. Everybody out there, I want to say peace to Underrated Darkness for being in the chat room. I want to say peace to Cat PY2 for coming in. Let me read what you have to say, brother. Sunny Boxing Talk was Obama who signed into law the Blue Alert Bill. Blue Alert Bill. Interesting. And then we got Brother Sunny Boxing Talk. He says part of the problem in the letter of the law that allows the police to do these things is get away with it is the law needs to change. And he's right. If the law does not change, this continues to happen to us. And we have to be the ones to change the law. We got the Queen Keisha here. I don't know what I just walked into on, but hi, guys. What's going on, sister? Welcome to the Information Man Show. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you for being here. Here's a clap for you. India, let me come back to you. I've got to definitely, between talking to you and hearing what you're saying, and then at the same time, I've got to have my interaction with folks in the chat room because they're writing things in there, and I just want to get them involved in what we're talking about. But let me ask you. Let me say this to you. You said some things to me that were on point, India. You said that you're sick of the nails, you're sick of all the infotainment. I'm gonna be honest with you. Neely Fuller Jr. said this. Black people, we really don't have time to be playing around and be kicking back like everything's going well for us. Kicking back like we in some we at some vacation and we got a little drink with a little umbrella in it and everything's just fine for us. No, we don't have time. We don't have time for a party. We don't. Okay. And I want to thank Craig Harper. Peace, brother. I see you on the Facebook all the time for coming in with the super chat. Thank you, brother. Let me give you some respect there.
Thank you for the super chat.
I really appreciate that. I'm gonna hit that again.
Thank you for the super chat.
He says, on behalf of the team, Tipsy, salute to you, Info. Thank you, brother. Keep coming by and supporting the program and what I'm trying to do over here. So, Indy, I'm coming back to you.
Yes, sir.
We don't have time for any of this type of foolishness that we seem to, some of us, I'm not going to indict all of us, some of us tend to involve ourselves in. For example, okay, the Popeyes chicken sandwich. Okay, the chicken sandwiches are delicious. People like them. But look at all the attention that black people or people have put into waiting in line for these chicken sandwiches and giving Popeyes $23 million of free advertisements. Okay? I believe that the chicken sandwich phenomena is another distraction that's keeping us from focusing on what's really important. Not a damn chicken sandwich. With that said, not to get too far into that, where do you think things are going right now politically? Because I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to switch it over into some more political talk here. You've got the Democrats who are, to me, and I'm going to do a video about this, a pre-produced video. I believe the Democrats and the Republicans, but both of them are clowns. And they're spending time. You got Joe Biden talking about what he's going to do, and he's been in office for 30 years or more. and hasn't done any of the things that he claimed that he can do now. Okay. And the Democrats are going at each other, giving Donald one, you know the man, giving him all the ammunition that he needs.
In the White House, I'm not gonna say his name.
To use against Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Democratic Party has taken black folks for granted. And this generation and some of us older folks are starting to wake up and realize that the Democratic Party ain't all that we thought it was. And that we may need to go into a different direction this 2020 election because we need tangibles. We don't need trickle down. Oh, if I help you, this Bernie Sanders stuff, if I help you, all will rise and float in a boat. Bernie Sanders goes around talking about how he wants to help working class people, that he wants to have true prison reform, but yet Bernie Sanders represents a state called Vermont that has more black men in its prison system than it has in its streets. They don't even have a real black community there, but yet they've got more black men in their prison system, and Bernie hasn't done anything about it. His own state that he represents. And I'm telling you, these Democratic clowns and the Republican clowns as well are all playing us off for fools. And Trump has changed the narrative of this country and the things that he's able to say and get away with that Obama could never get away with, or anybody that looks like him. What do you think is going on with this political system? And then we're hearing all this talk about a recession is on its way. Go ahead, sister.
Well, I think what we have is first of all, to your first point regarding the Democrats, how we got a 45 in the first place was the Democrats taking their constituency for granted. The most reliable, the most consistent constituency of the Democrats is, of course, African Americans, and if you subcategorize, it would be African American women are the most reliable. This is not me saying this. This is data. The most reliable constituency of Democrats. Well, I remember being on air in 2015 and 2016, and I remember saying, I don't know, you guys, you better take this Trump cat seriously, because this could happen. And people thought I was crazy and all of that. So Democrats have, by their own ignorance and arrogance, taken the African American constituency and others, but ours specifically, for granted. Although I have always said that what we do is we show up for the big one, and we don't show up for all of the other elections. You know, look, this country requires commitment. It requires engagement, or you're either at the table or you're going to get eaten and chopped up on the table. So if you are not actively engaged consistently, reliably at every level of your governance, guess what? You're going to get screwed. So I think that's where we are. That set the pavement for a 45 to come on in and talk all this emotional, bullshit to people who themselves have been neglected. The poor whites are no better than anybody else, even though somehow they tend to think so. But so anyway, so they fell for his crap. African Americans didn't show up because in many ways, although the Obama administration was groundbreaking in some ways, the Obama administration was somewhat milquetoast in others, and it just did not flow to the Hillary candidate. And so, I just knew she wasn't going to cross the finish line. Like, I just knew that. And so now what we have is 45's whole game plan has been the deconstruction of the governance state. So every agency, whether it's EPA, Department of Education, FDA, pick one. He put people in not to strengthen it, but to deconstruct it. So now, as Democrats, the game, like the field, is different. So now we've got to put the field back together. So I don't think right now, I don't think anybody's thinking about a third party or anything like that. But I also, I mean, if I can just be totally real, with all due respect to Mr. Biden, I think Mr. Biden, and I've said this on my social media, I think Mr. Biden would be an excellent elder statesman and advocate and surrogate for the candidate. But I just do not see Mr. Biden as the candidate. You know, you can call it age, you can call it, you know, you can call it whatever you want to call it. Mr. Biden's been around a long time. And frankly, Mr. Biden was the architect of the 1994 crime bill. So, I'm just trying to be real with you guys. I'm not going to sugarcoat or bullshit. So,
Mhm.
I just don't go for the traditional media, narration of, Mr. Biden is he's at 32% or whatever. I just don't believe Mr. Biden's going to be the candidate. I also don't believe that Democrats really have the luxury splitting the baby right now. You need to pick a candidate, a good, strong candidate, and we're going to have to go in there and reconstruct what this man and his administration has been dedicated to doing, and that's deconstructing the governance state. That's been their goal, and man, they've been eating at it like termites on rotten wood.
Well, India, let me ask you a question as I'm going to send another link. And did you send that email
Yes, I did.
to I just tell him all he has to do is hit the link on his computer if he's coming in with a computer, and he'll be able to come on the panel.
Okay.
That's all he has to do. I don't know if
Okay.
Alpha is
Okay. I'm literally typing this now. Okay. So if
yeah.
you're,
Yeah.
so if you're
He has
on,
to, he has to hit the StreamYards app. And what's going on, Anita B and brother Black Shark? Thank you for all that you've said in the chat room, brother. I really appreciate you being here. Cap PY2, QT1, everybody in the chat room has been very consistent here. And then we
your
got my
chat
man.
room is fabulous.
Then we got
You
my
guys are
man.
great in chat. I love it. I love it. I love the engagement. That's what we need. Coast to coast, up and down, east, west, north, south, baby. This chat room is this is what we need.
Exactly. So let me ask you this. Let me bring up another political question. When you look at no one says her name right, Miss Harris, Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Look, I've met her personally.
Mm-hmm.
She attended a function that I'm a member of Alpha Phi Alpha. We had an alumni chapter in the Bay Area.
Mm-hmm.
She attended our chapter when she ran for Attorney General. So I knew her way back then because she's a member of our sister organization.
Mm-hmm.
And so we put support behind her to get her in as Attorney General of San Francisco. Folks in the chat room may not know about this information if you didn't live in the Bay Area. I'm talking about back when she was Attorney General. Her whole mantra at that time was that she wanted to improve the juvenile system in the San Francisco area because the juvenile system was a mess. Okay, she came to us, we gave her support, and like some politicians, they get in office and you don't see them again. You don't get any follow-up, tangibles. So that kind of rubbed me the wrong way with the sister in terms of, wow, she never came back around. She just kind of moved up that ladder. And then she got involved with Willie Brown. And I know that there was something going on because I know, let's just say I've met Willie Brown. I've talked to him personally. Think he's in the same circles that I've been around.
Sure.
In the area.
Right.
My organization. So definitely there was some connection there. I mean, he was separated from his wife of 25 years. So she moved herself up the ranks pretty well. She became Attorney General of the state. And she did some things that you heard all the details. Her laboratory that she managed, there was a lot of things that happened where Black men could have gotten off on chumped up charges by the police forces of California. There was a Black man that was on death row at San Quentin and she looked the other way. So there's a lot of folks in California that we know her very well. There's a lot of Black folks that are kind of turning away from her. Her numbers have gone down.
Mm-hmm.
I think they sort of I think they sort of thought that she would be the female version of Barack Obama, because she has that sort of mixed heritage. She talked about that she was bused in Berkeley, when in fact the school that she was bused into at that time was already integrated. So when
Mm-hmm.
she said that whole thing about, oh, what you did, Joe Biden, affected me as a little girl because I was that little girl who got bused. No, she got bused to a school that was already integrated with other people. I know this because I worked in Berkeley. Berkeley is one of the most liberal cities in this country. Hell, they even have a school named after Malcolm X.
That's
In the
liberal.
city of Berkeley. That's how liberal Berkeley is. They
That's
got schools.
liberal.
Oh, they celebrate and recognize the birthday of Malcolm X. It's a recognized holiday in the city of Berkeley. That's how liberal Berkeley is.
I'm packing my bags. That is liberal. That's liberal, all caps.
They recognize the man's birthday. So what I'm saying to you is, some things that she says, you got to look at it with a grain of salt and say what's true, what's not true. So with that said,
Sure.
from your observation, your political scope, what do you think is truly going on with her campaign, that she's taking a dip as much as is there
Well,
more?
I think that like just me personally, I've learned so much from the 2016 campaign. Like I have just learned so much because I supported, Bernie. Back then I was really never, like this Clinton fan, but I wish I would have had the political astuteness as Alpha does, to just support the lady and go on. Look, there is no perfect candidate. There is no perfect candidate. These cats are going to have marks along the way to ascend to this level of politics. You've taken some punches and you've also landed some. So I'm not looking for a perfect candidate. I do think that Senator Harris is extremely skilled and capable. I think she would completely lay 45 out in a one-on-one debate. I think when she says, I will prosecute him, I think she means it. So I know that there are all kind of, there's a lot of holes in this cheese. But I also think that we as a nation need to give her some room here. Also, like the people in Iowa, specifically the white people, when they had the Iowa fair at the corn dogs and all that. If you paid attention to that, and I know you guys did, there were some white people, and so like the broadcasters, the reporters were saying, well, who are you guys looking to? Who are you guys looking to? And I was really shocked, and they were like, Senator Harris. And so they asked, well, why? And they said, well, because I like that she's, conservative. I like her prosecutorial background. So it's like it cuts both ways. And so you're going to need a candidate that can maneuver and cross pollinate. You're going to need a candidate that can reach us and be real, and she needs to be real. And if I was her, I would just be like, look, I know, I know. Let me have it. She should stand up in front of us, coast to coast, and let us express ourselves and how we feel about her prosecutorial background and all that. But I also think that there is value in that, and that woman should not be tossed aside because and I know I've been slammed on social media for this. I know that there are in your community in the great state of California, which I have family and all of that, and have roots to as well, San Francisco and Los Angeles, to be specific, but I know like that she has some issues with us, but I also think she has tremendous value, and I think that we as a populace, as a nation, especially in this peculiar time in our nation's history when we really need a prosecutorial expert, I say she has a lot of value, and I say don't throw away that diamond. Okay, it might not be D flawless. Most diamonds aren't, but honey, look, if it is slightly included, take it and run with it. And so I think she would be a badass candidate, and I
Let me
think she would lay him out in a
let me
debate.
let me say this, India. Let me say what's up to Renegade. We got Ashley in the house. Thank you for coming in. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate it.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
And let everybody know some of the podcasting, because I have a second channel. So make sure you all check out my second channel. Let me put that up there so you can see. These are some of the other broadcast systems that I'm on, and I'm going to be releasing on my second channel the podcast I did about the family, which you can catch that on Netflix, about how this government has been manipulated by these Christian groups like the family, who manipulate these presidents and manipulate politicians on a spiritual level. And these are some of the areas that you can catch me on. And here we go.
The Information Man podcast can be heard on 9 major platforms, on the second YouTube channel as well, Information Man Speaks Podcast. Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podbean, Castbox, SoundCloud, and finally, Spreaker.
Tell the truth.
Now, let's get back to the Information Man show.
Okay, folks, we're going to bring it on back. We've got my queen here, India. India Declare. She's I'm giving her that kind of respect, folks, because I go way back with her. She inspired me with the show that she does on Blog Talk Radio, and she was also a part of, what's the name of that? What was the name of that again? I want to get it correct. What was the name of the U.S. network?
Yes, it was U.S. Talk Network. U.S. Talk Network, founded by the great radio producing icon, Mr. Lee Michaels. I can still hear him in my headphones when I would be on the air, as he would be cracking jokes and saying stuff in the back that the audience couldn't hear. But Mr. Lee Michaels, and of course Mr. Andre Eglishan, author of Thieves in the Temple,
right.
and what the right got wrong about national security. And these are 2 books. If your library does not have the writings of the late great now ancestor, Mr. Andre Eglishan, EGGLLETION, Andre Michael Eglishan, please do yourselves, do your family, do your children a favor and get his work. Okay, get his work. Search engine his work and get his work. All I can say is I had the humbling privilege. I knew when I heard that man, the first time I heard that man, I knew I was listening to somebody that, a wise man told me decades ago, when you're around somebody neat, he used the word neat. When you're around somebody neat, realize it. And Mr. Eglishan, look up his videos on YouTube. He gave speeches. This man was a geopolitical master, a statistician, a surgeon of monetary policy. And these things are truths regardless of what era. So Mr. Eglishan's work is something that, when I say it, I mean it. Your library is incomplete if Mr. Eglishan's work is not in it. So take the time. He is worthy of your time. Time is the most valuable commodity on planet Earth. And Mr. Andre Michael Eglishon's work is worthy of your precious commodity of time.
Woo! You know, I did India, I did a tribute to him, a video, and I learned a lot listening to him. I used to use I stole some stuff from him. I used to love when Andre would say because I used to listen to him on XM radio. He would come on there and he would sit in for Al Sharpton every now and then.
Yes.
And then I used to enjoy calling in on his show and talking to him. But I used to love when he would say, you know what he would always say, bovine excrement.
Yes, I know.
Bovine. That's bovine excrement. And then when he would talk about, I'm going hunting and I'm going bear hunting and I'm on Claude and I used to ride a hog when I was a young man and we would skin him. And, I mean, he was an ultimate. I mean, this brother, he was a survivalist. I mean, he could survive in the wilderness if he had to because he knew how to hunt. He knew the proper way to fish. I mean, the man grew up in a farming type of background, of that type of rural type of background that he had,
Right.
which a lot of black folks historically, we shouldn't laugh at it.
We don't know much about.
But a lot of black people historically grew up in this country in the rural environments in the South, knowing how to hunt for your own food, fend for yourself, build a house. The whole
and we were looked down upon, and we were taught to kind of not look at that as valuable. Whereas Mr. Eglishon, he saw that as an ultimate asset. And then with that, in conjunction with that, this man played the guitar. Remember, he would play the guitar, the Jimi Hendrix. I mean, he was just wild. And then I remember talking to him. I was saying, Andre, what you doing? And he said, I'm singing Sinatra at the supper club. And he invited myself and my husband down to Florida to listen to him. And we never got a chance to go and see him perform at the supper club. But he sent me pictures and he was in the tuxedo and everything. So, I mean, he was just like a Renaissance man, from the rural to the urban, to the sophisticated, to the simple, but that mind and that monetary policy and that global monetary policy and connecting the geopolitical monetary structure and complexities, literally connecting it to your plate that on your table. That man knew that, and he was just like, when I heard him, I was just like, wow, like you don't hear that every day. So he's just a very, very special individual. And I believe that those of us who were in that sacred circle and that orbit at that moment, I just thought that, I will always think that he was just such a light, and that he would want you to be doing what you're doing. He would want Information Man and Alpha and Janice Graham and all of us to just be, just on the air, just rocking and just being real. So he's just a tremendous spirit and inspiration, and I just can't say enough about him.
Wow. Let me say what's up and peace to the guy from Texas. Thank you for coming in. And I see Gigi made it back into the chat room. Thank you for being here, sister. I think everybody. Oh, and Anita B, let me say what's up to you once more. Looking smooth on your picture. Let me just say this, India, because some folks in the chat room have mixed reviews on Miss Harris. I don't want to labor on that too much. I just want to say this. I personally think that she, given her background, to me personally, would make a better attorney general.
Wouldn't she be fabulous as attorney general? Oh, I know.
She would make a better attorney general, in my opinion. Even though
I agree with you. I just think that we have a luxury of really solid, tremendous talent, running, and nobody's perfect, and and there's money and there's special interests and all of that. But I agree with you. If not president, she would be an exceptional attorney general. So knowing her issues on the way up, I just think that she's here for a reason. And I think that we as a nation should not, oh, my light just died. We as a nation should not, just dismiss her capability.
Well, I wouldn't say that. I would say I just think that there's some problematic issues with her. But
Right.
let me go home and let me go into another
And you know
another
what? And you
area.
know what? She
Go ahead.
should
Go
she
ahead.
should just come on out and just be like, "Honey, I know. Let me have it." And just bring it out. Just let it out because as long as it kind of festers and it's not
Mhm.
like spoken up and brought up, I think it will. I think it will like be a drag on her.
Yeah, and I think she's got to be honest. She's gotten
Hmm.
herself caught up in some things where she's talking about she listened to Tupac at this particular time, and then we find out, well, he didn't have an album. It's some. I think what happens is that black people, we don't like when someone is not being genuine, and
Right.
when we don't think a person's genuine, then we tend to turn the other way on them. Let me bring
Right.
this up. I did a video last week about, and I know this issue's been talked about before, but I had to talk about the whole reverse migration. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because Doug Jones, I think in 2018, he got put into the Congress, I believe, by 90% vote of black women. Let me put this on the screen because I want to bring this up to your attention. Let me put
Okay.
this on the screen for you to see this and everybody out there. So on
Okay.
the screen, as you can see, that's from a news report. African Americans voted in the midterm in 2018 at 90%, voting for Democrats in the House representative race. Pew Research Center brought this up. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up to your attention is that the reverse migration theory is that if black people are moving and leaving the North and going back to the South, and
Hmm.
currently, right now, black people traditionally currently have been voting Democratic. Then, if they're moving into these southern states, now you have an influx of people with liberal views moving into the southern states, turning these red states purple, or maybe
Hmm.
some turning blue. And they're saying that that's the phenomenon why a Doug Jones or someone like that was able to win. And as you said, black women vote Democratic at a very high level. Although when he got in, black men did vote for Doug Jones. They didn't tell you that much. They focused on black women in particular.
Sure.
But this is the situation. So when you say if we come together, because this country, you got to have the black vote. As much as we say that politics, some people may say politics doesn't matter. Oh, it doesn't matter because we don't control it. The reality is that most people that have won elections on the Democratic side is because they've got the percentage of the black vote. They locked it up, stock and barrel. Do you think that there's going to be more trends setting in the South as it relates to traditional Southern states turning purple or turning blue? Do you think this is going to be a continuing trend, or maybe it's just what we saw one time in the midterms of 2018?
I definitely believe that the trend is in full effect now and will only grow. And I think that what 45 has been committed to, the cruelty, the denigration, the inhumanity, the degradation. I think a commitment to all of that has only ensured that people, I believe, of varying hues, will reject what we are now witnessing, navigating, and living through. I definitely believe that. I did a blog many years ago. It's the demography, stupid. So like and that's what's rooted irrationally so, but that is at the root of the insanity and mania and violence towards people that look like me. And so, it's fear. So there's another book. It's called Brown is the New White. And so, check that book out. This is just data, so and the overtaking, if you will, or the planet is just getting browner, and so instead of just being rational and humane and working with our brothers and sisters, there are some that are very much committed and basically scared to death. And so that irrational mind is dangerous, and so I think that's what we're looking at. But I think the demographics are undeniable, and and I think we are going to see that. I believe that Beto O'Rourke, the Senate race that he ran in Texas, he came razor close to winning that Senate seat, and so I just think, as I said many years ago, it's the demography, stupid. I just believe. I mean, what do you do? I mean, it's just I will never forget a right wing talk show host said on air that one of the greatest fears of people who thought like him was that what was done to people, our ancestors, would be done to them. And so there you have it.
Lions Den's coming back on board, but let me do something. India, I got to ask you this question.
Yes, sir.
And also let me know, India, how much time you can go tonight, because it's an interesting discussion, and I have to ask you these other questions. This is very
Oh, I
important.
love it. No, you know me. This is sport. Are you kidding? I love it.
Then this is two questions, but you can take one at a time. The one
Okay.
question, this is related to what you just talked about a little bit. It's about immigration, and you have people, because I know this is a big issue. This is why I think Harris is taking a hit with the Black community, because she keeps speaking a lot about what she's going to do for immigrants. But the thing is that Black people are the only people in this country who did not come over here as immigrants. We were brought over here against our right or whatever. I know that there's people that are on YouTube that say that Black people are the original people of North America as well. I like to say that because they have found Black people's bones everywhere in the world, the whole planet belongs to us. We are from the whole planet because we are dark mattered people. Okay. And so what I'm trying to get at is that recently Donald Trump, his administration, is saying that if you are a GI or you are in the military in a base across seas and you have a wife from another country and you have a child, that child, they may put those military personnel through a lot of red tape to be able to allow that child to have American citizenship. So what they're trying to do is garner the days where you have a child outside of the country and that child has American citizenship. Now, some would say that this is on the negative side. Now, some would say that women in these other countries are purposely getting with these American soldiers, and so that they can get pregnant, so that they see the American soldier as a ticket to getting a passport to get into American society, as a way to get over here because they want to get out of their life. It's the same way where you have men, Black men in particular, who are going to places like Brazil and cross seas to date women because they feel that the dating scene here in America is sort of not going well for them. And so that's one question. Because the Trump administration is trying to change how that operates now. That's what they're trying to do. Another question or another thought I want to put out there is that I did a show a long time ago. I looked at the statistics. This is not going to be popular, what I'm about to say, but it has to be said, India. I looked at the numbers, and I'll send you the video. Immigration and this whole thing that's going on across the border with people coming in from Central America into Mexico. First of all, I'm just gonna be honest. If you're leaving a country and you're traveling to come here, you're actually taking a risk. There's no guarantee that you get into this country when you actually put your family at risk and yourself traveling through all that miles to get here with the hopes that you're going to get in this country. There's no guarantee. Another thing I must say is that, are we supposed to let everybody come into this country without knowing their background, if they are a criminal? Because I'm going to tell you right now from experience working in the prison environment that I work with in California for about almost 18 years now. We have one of the reasons why the prisons are crowded in California is because we have people who come from across the border. They commit crimes here, and we put them in our prisons, and they drain on the system. Okay,
Mhm.
I'm gonna be honest with you.
Mhm.
We don't even know what these guys are. All right, I'll tell you a story, a quick story. There was a guy who came from what we call Egypt. He had his arm cut off. It was cut off, sliced. And we kept wondering, how did his arm? We found out that he committed a crime over there in the Middle East, and they cut his arm off. Then he came to America and committed a crime, and he took he took someone's life, and he got on death row at San Quentin. I worked with this guy. Okay, and he should have never been allowed to come in this country because they didn't do a thorough background check on him. So what I'm saying is, we can't. And if you let all these people come into this country, then you got to ask them a number one question: where do they sleep? Who's paying for their clothes? Where do they live? Where are they going to get jobs? Where are they going to school? Now, I'm going to keep it 100% real with you. 9 out of 10 times when immigrants come to this country, especially those who have skin tone like ourselves, browner skin complexion, 9 out of 10 times they're going to move into Black communities, particularly socially low economic Black community. You know why I know this? Because I lived in Oakland, and most of the Mexican population in Oakland, they came over from across the border, and they moved into neighborhoods that Black people lived in, and now you've got social conflict between Black people and Latinos who come in. And then I know in Oakland, in East Oakland, you have gang factions where they come over and they have their gang factions, and those gang factions impact Black people. I know from statistics that I looked at, and I know numbers can be manipulated, that immigration impacts Black people more than anybody in this country economically, and housing, and also jobs. So what I'm saying to you is, I have a problem when I see Elijah Cummings crying like he did. I did a video about it, crying. It's a shame. I've never seen him cry about Black people in the way he cried about the immigrants across the border who took a chance coming here. Now, when the Haitians come over and different Africans come over and people come over from the Caribbean, what do they do to them in Cuba? The Cubans who run Florida, they send those Black folks back to Haiti. They send those Black folks back to Cuba. Nobody asks any questions or asked. They go back. So what I'm trying to say is, I'm not trying to be a hater, but I'm being a hater here. Immigration does not benefit Black people in America. It actually hurts us economically. Not to mention, it hurts Black children in our schools, because now they have to spend money to create bilingual education for this new influx of people who come over who don't speak the language very well. Now, I'm going to sum it up. You and me, if we were to get on a plane and go over to France, Italy, Spain, any of these countries, and say we want to live there, and we don't know how to speak the language, they're getting rid of our Black you-know-whats. You got to go. You got to go. You got to learn their language, and you got to know that you got to do that. Now, I don't have a problem with people who come over here legally. If you're leaving for political asylum, you have to pass the proper paperwork. So my question is, all these people, Black folks included, and all these political talking heads on CNN who cry over this, and I'm not saying that the way they're housing them is right. It's wrong. I think I heard Brother Joe Madison say that, what about the flu season? These people are going to catch the flu, and Donald Trump's administration is not doing anything about giving them flu vaccinations. Guess what, Black folks in America and people in America? That flu symptom is going to come into our country. It's going to come in. All right? Because they're not vaccinating these people. So what I'm saying to you is, Mexico's not being held accountable for letting these people walk into their country. Not to mention the Haitians, who were promised by this United States government that some of them could come over here and get citizenship, and they were and a lot of them left Brazil, went into Mexico, and they're at that border down there, and nobody's talking about the Haitians. I did a video about that. The Haitians are being marginalized, and no one's talking about them. And they were told by the United States government they could come over here, and they made their journey, and the United States government turned their backs on them. Nobody, I don't hear any of these black politicians in the Black Do Nothing caucus. I don't hear any of them talking about them Haitians that have been left over there across that border that was told by this government, we'll let you in, and their backs have been turned while they're crying about people who come in through Central America, and the Central American government is responsible for those citizens. And at the same time, we're supposed to let these people come in this country, get free entry into this country, when we're not even dealing with the poor and taking care of the poor in this country that were born here, and we're supposed to take in a whole new crop of people. I'm sorry, what I'm saying doesn't sound popular. I'm not sounding popular right now, but it's the truth. And we got Lions Den who's come back in. India, I'm gonna go to you. Talk about anything I might have said briefly as you can, because I gotta hear what Lions Den wants to add, because he's been coming in and out. So go right ahead.
Absolutely. Every word that you just articulated is completely accurate. And the only thing that I would say is that the immigration infrastructure really, and I've said this before on my show for many years, again, because I believe that it is true, that the infrastructure of immigration really should have been dealt with at the time of the Industrial Revolution, during the World War II era in the early 40s, knowing that winning World War II would attract people from all over this country, and it did, and to me that was, just a real juggernaut of immigration to the nation. And so the infrastructure should have been put in place, in my opinion, many decades ago, as early as the 40s. And I mean aggressive, just as you were speaking to. If you and I went to France or Australia or anywhere, we would not only have to identify ourselves, but we would probably have to be able to identify our source of income and that sort of thing. And so, I just think there should be a uniformity, knowing, realizing that the geopolitics of the world are different depending on what it is. So, Latin America is destabilized and war torn and that sort of thing. And so there are problems in varying parts of the world. But the infrastructure, knowing that the United States is the beacon and where everybody wants to come, that infrastructure should have been put in place many decades ago. And so each political generation kind of passed the baton to the next generation, sat on their hands, took the pay and the pension and the perks, and didn't deal with the policy. And so now we're stuck with what we've got. And so you've got a draconian methodology to a problem that really should have been dealt with many decades ago. But because, once again, all this stuff is connected, the people are distracted and committed to entertainment, and making sure they go to their baseball game or their whatever. And I don't mean currently, I mean in the 40s and the 50s. And so, we just didn't demand that shit get done. So it's like, knowing that America is the beacon and everybody wants to come here and give me your time, give me a pour and all that. Okay, well, make sure there is infrastructure in place to scrub everybody down. Just as I have my passport and everything, and so, we should just have that infrastructure in place, acknowledging that there are parts of the world that are destabilized and war torn and stuff like that. Like, I get it, but now I mean, I think anyone would have to agree with you. Now, I mean, we have to know, once again, the who, what, why, when, where, how much, and how far of each and everybody. And that's just kind of how it is. And it is a horrible situation. And because the baton has been passed over these many political generations and houses of Congress and Senate. I mean, how many senators and congressmen have we had that literally sat on their hands? They had the power to create the immigration infrastructure and have done nothing. And so they just keep passing the damn baton, each one. Meanwhile, they get fabulous pay, Cadillac Healthcare, pension benefits. Hell, you can't fire them. I mean, they travel all over the world. I mean, they've got every goddamn perk you can possibly get your hands on, and we have nothing to show for it in terms of immigration policy. So I just think once again, the American people are going to have to be the demanders of leverage to know who, scrub down who you're putting in political power. And once they get in there, keep the boot on the neck, because other than that, they're the only ones that can draw the policy. You and I, we can talk about it and we can chop it up and all of that, but we hire these people to allocate and create the policy architecture, and they have done this for what is that? 70 years or so? They have passed the damn baton, and we're sitting here now in 2019 going, well, what the hell do we
Tell the
do?
truth.
And I mean, and they're dead and gone, and they got fabulous money, they got land. We all know the game. We all know the game. These cats have enriched themselves to no end by sitting on their hell. You can't get them out of there. They're freaking 90 years old in the Senate. Don't even get me started. So so like again, and I mean, and I know I sound like a broken record, but it kind of falls on us demanding, that they get off their damn hands and get this crap done. Because I mean, if we're not going to let them in, don't let them in. If we're going to let them in, then have a way to let them in. But this hellacious pit of policy purgatory that we have them in, that's not sustainable. And on top of it, it's for profit. Okay,
Right.
so they are
Right.
making billions off of the housing, the inhumane housing of these cats. So either look, if we're gonna say no, no. Okay, well then let that be the policy and put that on paper. Or if we're gonna let them in, then we need to create an infrastructure to let people in, scrub them down, and find out who the hell they are and all that kind of stuff. Just like it is expected of us. I have to have my stuff, and I have it, and I'm not gonna let it expire either. And so so if I go somewhere, it's expected of me to have my stuff. So I mean, I know that sounds harsh, but I mean, if we're gonna be this this new world order and everything is globalized and all that crap, then create a universal ID or something so that people know who the hell people are as they travel and go back and forth. But this crap should have been done in 1942.
Well, India Lions Den, I think he's coming in and out. He told me that he sent me a message. He's having some problems with audio. Everybody out there that's in the chat room, is the audio sounding okay now? I think this person who came in, Sour Lemon, said audio. Some of the audio problems I have no control over right now. I think it has something to do with the streaming system that I'm using. And the guys who created this, they've got improvements that they're going to have to make. They're going to have to figure out a way to make the interface, the sound system, go better with their streaming system. Because I'm using top-notch internet service. I've got a high-grade internet service. So if it's sounding kind of choppy at times, I apologize for that. Believe me, I don't want the sound to sound bad. But everybody, how is the sound right now? When you
sound good on my headset.
Okay. When you heard India speaking, and I'm speaking now, is it sounding okay, everybody? Just give us a signal in the chat room if you could do that. I really appreciate that. Anita B, what's going on? Definitely smash the likes, share the video. I'm sure many other people will watch this after we come to a conclusion tonight. Let me see if someone wrote something that would give me a response. Whoa, and the midlist don't see. Wow, mindless are peeping the game. Okay, that's my sister QT1. So I had to break. What I said wasn't a popular thing to say, because a lot of times I know people want to be humanitarian and you want to feel for the kids. And you know what? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I think what the kids are going through is a shame, because the children didn't ask to be brought across their country like that. The children didn't ask for this. The parents took them. Okay, they didn't ask for this, no more than any of us were asked to be born where we're born, or born to the parents that we have. So I think that the children are the unfortunate part of this situation because their parents were doing what they thought was best for them to survive. And I get that. But this is the deal. At the end of the day, black people in America are not immigrants. We didn't come over here with our shoes on, our bags, and all of this kind of stuff because we ran for a political asylum. We were brought over here in shackle slavery. We were made to work this land, to build this country up and the infrastructure. And then other groups came over here and got some benefit. The other groups came over here and they were treated poorly at one point in time, but eventually the Irish, the Italian, and other European groups, eventually white folks in America realized, you know what? You're white like me, even though you're Italian, you're German, because you know what it all goes back to India. It's the you have what you call Germanic tribes. And these Germanic tribes come out of German. They're German. So even though you have people that are French and they speak this different language, they all come from a Germanic tribe. And that's what bind. And so when Europeans came to America and they got picked with, eventually they all unified together and said, wait a minute, you're just like me. And so what did they do? They eventually all turned around and ganged up on us. So, for example, when you look at the Godfather movie, they said, put the drugs in the Negro neighborhoods. Don't sell them in our neighborhoods. Okay. The Irish, who, when you go to Chicago, a lot of the Irish are police officers. That's because those were some of the only jobs that the Irish were allowed to have. But when they got those jobs, they turned around and took their billy club. They put us in that paddy wagon. See, paddy wagon sort of is a derogatory term. They got that word because a lot of the Irish were police officers. That's where the paddy wagon came from. And they turned around and took their billy clubs and turned them on black people. Even though when the Irish came to America, they were told no dogs in Irish need to apply. They were racially profiled as well. But eventually they turned around and took their venom out on us. And they were able to assimilate into this society. I think that black people have the problems that we have because we never were in a position to assimilate. Other groups came over here with the ability to and the right to be able to try to assimilate at one point in time. Black people were never assimilated. What we simply were was we were emancipated, quote unquote, and we were put into Reconstruction. And in South Carolina, you saw a lot of progressive stuff happening for black people in South Carolina for those 8 years of Reconstruction. And then what? They took it all back.
Correct.
So my question, with all that I've said, what do you think, India, from your experience? What are some of the solutions that we can engage in that could solve some of our problems, whether it be politically, socially, our family structures? What is it that we need to do to improve ourselves in the world that we live in? Go ahead.
I would say I believe that we should commit to financial literacy and economic education. I think that we as a people, we need to commit to financial literacy and economic and financial education. And these days, with the instrument that you and I are on right now, it is absolutely accessible, and there is a tremendous amount of free information out there. And I think that when we as a culture begin to come into our own power, and when that paradigm shifts and you are no longer just a consumer, but you are a saver, an investor, a landowner. And these things take time, and it takes commitment, and it takes perseverance, and it takes being consistent. But until we come out of the I am a worker or an employee to an owner starting something, that is yours, building something from the ground up, no matter how small. Learn the tax code. Let's not just complain about the tax code. And Lord knows I have complained a lot because it is rigged to the fat cats. But let us learn the tax code as a business owner and and a landowner, and begin to say, okay, how can I make this work on my behalf? Because all roads lead to the tax code. Financial literacy,
Right.
economic education, commit to it. There's Dr. Boyce Watkins, there's Dr. Claude Anderson, I mean, there's a lot of information out there. Oh my
Well,
God. Dr. Boyce, he did a seminar with a young man, Julian Gordon, I believe his name is, and he began to invest in rental property, and he said, I just learned I just learned from doing it, and now I've done it enough, and now I'm teaching it, and so commit to not always being the employee. Think of yourself as the owner, not always being the renter. Think of yourself as the landlord, not always being the consumer. Think of yourself as the investor. And when you begin to inform and educate yourself about financial literacy and economic empowerment, then the paradigm shifts and you shift. Do I need and honey, I love right now I'm into big trucks, but look, I'm not going to go into debt and make somebody else rich. I'm going to take that monthly payment that I would be paying for my big truck with my big tires and all that, honey, and I love it. But I can't do that right now. I can't ball like that right now. So what do? I have to find out where I can invest. Hey, if you like Burger King and you like, the impossible, the vegan thing, buy a share of Burger King. Start small. Inform yourself. Education, education, education. Because let me tell you something, honey, those fat cats, baby, they're educating theirs.
Right. Let me just say this. Some would say that black people, and I'm generalizing here, and Lions Den, I'm coming to you in a moment, brother. Don't worry. Some would say that the difference between black people and white people is that white men, when they raise their sons, they raise them to be captain of industry. They raise them to not play the game of football and basketball, but to own the team. Okay. Whereas black people in general here, we are raising our kids with the hope that they get a scholarship, the hope that they get to the NBA or they get a lottery ticket to some sports. And so while we're putting our kids on the field of sport and play for hours with this hope that they're going to get to the pros, white people are putting their kids on the field of industry, business, law, all these different things. And so they ultimately end up owning the football and the basketball team. And if the owners can give I think one of the basketball players for the Golden State Warriors, what is his name? He got $100 million contract from the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green. And the question is, if they can afford to give him $100 million contract, then what is the owner getting? And so we need to change these problems. We need to, one, it has to come from family. Family has to be the basis of all transformation of black people. Families have to have strong black men that are leading those family units. We cannot have, I don't know how you feel about this, India, but I'm keeping it 100% real with you. You cannot have, you have to have a family that's run by men. You cannot have communities and families run by females, where females are the narrative in which young black males are raised under. They have to have a male system, in my opinion.
Totally agree 100%. The best mother on planet Earth can never be a father. So you are right, sir.
And the reason why I know this is because being a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, see, this is the thing. I'm going to probably sound arrogant here, but I don't care because I know what I do. I'm probably one of a few people on YouTube within Black YouTube who not only just get on here and talk about stuff, but I've actually done it in my 49 years. So I know with my fraternity, with organizations that I've aligned myself with, that we can transform the fate of Black young males if we get to them at a young age. We mentor them, we mold them in the right direction of education or skilled trades or being a businessman. My organization has been doing it for some hundreds of years now.
Thank you.
Okay, so a lot of times on YouTube, and I'm going to keep it real, and I don't care what anyone thinks of what I'm saying, because I'm keeping 100% real. A lot of times on YouTube, you have negative stuff where people are saying the Black community is this and the Black community is that. And yeah, we have problems. But I always say, well, which Black community are you talking about? Because the Black community is many things. It's poor, it could be rich, it could be middle class, upper middle class, because we know that 2.5 million Black men have moved into the upper middle class now. That was documented. Okay. So we no longer should be making these narratives that this is what Black people are. No, we're many different things: poor, rich, everything. But I know that from my hands-on work and from my eyes and from the experiences that I've had, there are young Black males that we have gotten through the system. We have matriculated them to the system of success, and it can happen. I just spent time not too long ago fellowshipping with my brothers. So I know about brotherhood more because I've been a part of one that's been around for over 100 years.
Right.
I was fellowshipping with brothers that were. Check this out, Indy. When I looked at the out, because one of my frat brothers, he had a birthday party, and I'm looking at the breakdown of people that were getting up to give him well wishes. And I'm looking at Black men and Black women on there, and I'm saying, my God, everybody on this damn list that he's got is a doctor of this, a doctor of that, an entrepreneur, a rich, because I'm rubbing noses with people like this. So when I see that, I say, wait a minute. Black people can transform ourselves, but you got to have the proper guidance. Now, to flip that around, I've been working with guys in prison. The majority of the guys in the prison that are in there, what's the one common denominator to all of them? They've told me I did not have a father in my life. I had no proper role model. The role model became the gang. The gang became my father. So a lot of these guys that I deal with will admit to me when I'm working with them one-to-one or in groups, I screwed my life up. I made the game my family instead of my family. I wish I would have had the father there. I wish I would have done this, A, B, and C, but now I'm looking at a life sentence.
Yes.
This is what I deal with. That's why when I get on these social medias like this, I speak passionately as I do. And there's a lot of people who don't understand that. I see it and I see that there are Black men that are leaving prison that are going to do great things. Guess what? At San Quentin Prison in near the San Francisco Bay Area, guess what they're doing there? They're doing coding. Inmates are learning how to code. Guess what? When they get out of prison, they're going to be able to be a self-employed person. They'll probably make more money than some of us.
Thank you.
Okay, Lions Den, I'm coming over to you right now, brother. You want to add to this discussion or anything that's on your mind? Let me unmute you. Go right ahead, brother.
Okay, let me first, before I start saying stuff, I would like to apologize because I'm going in and out.
Okay,
and it's
brother.
probably messing up the audio. But my question to you is this, and this is really important. And India, we all know each other since the U.S. Talk Network days.
Yes.
We've been a fan of yours. We've been supportive of you, Janice Graham, Alpho, Cos Carson, and the late great Andre Eglishon. The list goes on.
Yes.
My question is, my question to you in the panel, and correct me if I'm wrong, Info, what does it take for Black men and Black women to coexist, to unite? Because during those times, we see people are divided from one issue to another issue, and now we have to understand we don't have time for that. And the question is, India, as known as you the queen, I always call you the queen every time I call the show.
You're so sweet.
So that's what I would say. I always call you the queen. What can we do as black men and black women to come together as one instead of dividing as what happened now?
Lions,
You
then
know,
wait a minute
first of all,
before you say that. I'm just wait a minute before you say anything. India, or you, brother, underrated darkness, who's in the chat room. He just said one thing that's important, that we have to stop cutting each other down by class. I totally agree with that. But most
yes,
importantly, he just announced that his mom passed away late Wednesday morning.
dear
And what I
God,
want to say to you, brother, I
Whoa.
give you all the condolences.
yes.
We're gonna stop right now and have a moment of silence right now. Okay, brother. Um, Underrated darkness, brother. My heart goes out to you. If there's anything I can do, brother, if you need to talk privately, anything, brother. To lose a family member and to lose your mother, that's a very that's very difficult, brother. Let me talk to you. This is my brother here. Underrated darkness, brother. My heart goes out to you, brother. I'm sorry to hear this. Once again, if you need to talk privately, whatever, brother, anything I can do, brother, it's hard. I can't imagine if to lose a parent, especially your mother. I can't imagine what you're going through, and I'm just here. I'm just letting you know, brother, um, that I'm here for you. I have nothing but mad respect for you. You know, you may not see me sometimes, when you're on live on your channel, whatever. Sometimes I may not be by there, but brother, I have nothing but mad respect for you, and I thank you for coming through tonight on the channel. So thank you. Nothing but respect for you. Um, and I don't want to be. We're going to underrated darkness. We're going to continue the discussion, and I hope it does not make you feel disrespected in any kind of way as we
Right.
continue the discussion that we're having. But I just wanted to acknowledge what you said. I could not go forward without doing so, brother. Peace be unto you and your family and everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Lions Den, I apologize. I had to stop. That was more important at that moment to say than
Yes.
anything else that we could say out of our mouths tonight. So with that said, woo, go ahead, Lions Den.
Okay, and before I start again, I want to send my condolences to the underrated darkness. Condolences to him and the family. I think that this is so important more than anything. That losing a mother is, it's very very hard and trying time. So my thoughts and prayers goes to you, underrated darkness, and Info and I will always be there for you, and we will support you no matter what's going on with you. Just to let you know. Now, with that being said, and again, India, like I said, my queen. My question to you is that when you and Janice Graham, I know you and Janice Graham been friends for a long, long time.
Mm-hmm.
What makes you two so special together? Because I know you like two. What makes you two so special together as a unit?
Well, you know what? First off, let me say to underrated darkness, prayers and blessings to you, to the spirit of your mom in this very tender moment. Um, there are no words. I'm just sending you love from someone you've never seen or heard from, but um, just love to you and to your family and to the spirit of your mom.
Right. Let me
Uh,
read what underrated darkness says. He's a strong brother. He says, "It's okay. I'm still fighting for our community." Okay. Five, right to be in existence in the world.
Amen.
For the human race in my own way. That's what my late mother want me to be. I'm
Mm,
here. I'm not going nowhere. Thanks, he says. Peace to
amen.
that brother. And I'm giving that brother a clap right now.
Yes. LD, I wanted to, before I get to the power of one of my mentors, Miss Janice Graham, I wanted to address your first question. And it's something that I know I have to work on, and I don't know, maybe we all do, but I think we need, you were asking about what can we as Black people do to kind of like help each other and like be there for each other. And I think something, just me personally, like that I need to work on is like forgiveness. Like where we have like a melanin movement, a melanin forgiveness movement, like where, because everybody is very tight, we're stressed, the money's tight, we're just conditioned to just be this chamber of pressure, and everybody's got a lot going on, and it's just all kind of stuff going on. We have our own stuff, and then we have the stuff that we inherit, from our family tree, and then we have the environmental stuff and that money stuff and the work stuff, and it's just pressure on top of pressure on top of pressure. And I think that, like, I know, like myself, like just handling a lot just all the time, uh 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 it might or it has made me come off somewhat abrasive. And in many ways, I embrace that abrasiveness, uh, but I know it cuts both ways. And so, what I would say is, whether it's people that we know or people that we don't know, uh, just to be kind to each other. Like myself, like I grew up without my father, like what information man was saying. Like I went through a lot of that. Like I lived it. So like it's a lot of baggage that comes with that, and some of that baggage I will carry till my last breath. Some of it I've worked through, but the residual is that you tend to come off hard and take shit out on people that have nothing to do with your shit. And so I think that if we could somehow remember to just be kind, and I know as you get older, you kind of smooth out a little bit. 20s and 30s are some crazy years. If you could just survive your 20s and 30s and get on the other side of that. But just to answer your question, I just think if we could have a forgiveness movement, where we just come at each other a little gentler, not it's not about being weak or anything, because like I won't allow somebody to come at me crazy, but just be able to carry an element of forgiveness along with everything else that we always carry. Being 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 Black in America is a complexity among itself, and so we're dealing with a lot. And I don't expect anyone to be able to tell my story, and I don't expect to tell anyone else's. And so I just think that if we could just kind of be a little kinder with each other, um, maybe that would ripple out into the universe. Because right now we're in a very precarious moment in our history, and I always like to think that children are watching. And so how are we carrying ourselves? How are we conducting ourselves? How are we showing love? Are we being abrasive, when that might not be the proper uh, context? And that's what, like, I've had to learn, just by being, like a strong gal out here, and I've said on air, and I've meant it, that I have I have had like an angry persona, but that I wasn't afraid of that. And I kind of love my anger. I mean, it's kind of been a good friend of mine. And that might sound weird. And I know there's, biblical things about anger and all that. But if you can somehow channel that energy into a positive where it does not destroy you, but can allow, like, turn your anger into jet fuel and use it to propel you. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the dad abandons. Yeah, you're going to be friggin' angry. You're going to have this residual of anger, and you tend to take that out on yourself and other people in the world. And so, like, what I've learned, in my many years is to categorize that and walk with forgiveness and walk with humility and be humble and be kind. And when they're when it is applicable and appropriate to give somebody an oil.
That's where I just want to stop you there because every now and then that little weird sound comes with the audio. But this is what I did, just so you know. I did send JT a link. So hopefully, JT, check your email. Come up if you want to say if you have a few words you want to say, brother. Definitely, you're more than welcome. Lions Den. Um, let me see what I'm doing here. Lions Den, you got anything you want to add? Anything on your mind, brother? Let me first read this. Let me enlarge this real quick because I want to read what the great Black Shark had to say. He says, "This is true, sister." He's talking about you, India. "This is true, sister. We must have compassion for our own,
Yes.
and we must exercise patience. Black society must get back to this as a standard."
Yes.
I agree with that standard because he's telling the truth.
Tell the truth.
Definitely.
True.
110% orange juice truth was just told in that statement.
Hmm.
Lions Den, I read the statement. You heard it. What are your thoughts?
I totally agree with the brother saying. The only thing we need to do is now is not let anyone outside of our circle interfere with what we're working on. It's
Mm.
like when it comes to us, we have to unite as a human being, as a race. That when anybody from the outside dares to challenge us, we can be stronger and unified together and
Mm.
say we're not going to allow you to tell us what we can or can't do or can or can't handle. And we got the brains, and we got the strength to fight each and every one of you together. That's the key to this. I think the only thing, like for myself in India, and Info and I will tell you this, that we was on US Talk Network, we was on Blog Talk Radio, and now we're YouTubers, and we keep striving, we keep fighting for what we're fighting for, and not afraid to speak our minds. Though sometimes YouTubers are trying to censor what we're saying, but it's not going to stop us to speak the truth. And that's the problem. We're not going to allow anyone to
Tell the truth.
step in ourselves and let our black culture be demolished for people from the outside. That's why your voice is important in India. That's why Janet's voice is important. That's why Alfo's, the late great Andre Eglishon's, Cars Carson. The list goes on and on. You're the reason why Info and I are on to have this platform today, because of your voice. Without your voice, there will be no Information Man or Lions Den. I'm gonna be honest with you. So when you have that voice, I give all the kudos in the world to you, India, that you speak for us, you speak for the people that wants to listen, that people that don't want us to listen to what you're saying. So India, I give you props, Queen. You did what you had to do to support and to protect what we're fighting for. And India, I appreciate everything you've done for us.
You know what, LD, I've said it to you privately, off air. I will say this publicly. I am so proud of you and Information Man. I knew when we talked years ago, I knew it. I said, Information Man would call and he would be busy, and he'd be picking up his precious baby, and he dropped that knowledge. And I was just saying the other day, I was just repeating what Information Man said in like 2009 or 10. And he said, this is like Thunderdome. You know, we're in Mad Max territory. I never forgot that. And he was right then. And we have only kind of gotten more like out of sync with who we are since. And so I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud of Information Man. I love your platform. I love what you guys are doing. I knew you were brilliant when I first heard you. And all I can do is just commend you and encourage you to keep going, because you are cutting edge and you are what we need out here. You are truth, and truth is light, and that's what we need. And my love to you both. I'm just so proud of you. You just make me just smile. I can't wait to hear Alpha on too. That's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome.
I wonder. That's the thing. What happened to Alpha tonight?
Oh,
Did he?
wait a minute. Yes, I can actually read. I can yes, he responded here. Yeah, I gave him your email, and then he says, yes, he says, I got the link. I got to show on my computer, but I can't communicate with him. So I gave him your email, and I told him, I said, he walked me through how to get to him. And then I said, email him and y'all hook up. And then he said, I did. I gave him my phone number. So that's what he just said. Okay,
but
so when you check your email info, he's gonna have emailed you. Okay, literally while we've been on the air.
Okay, but he can't come on tonight though.
I don't think so. I think he needs you to like walk him through it.
No. All he has to do. Tell him. All he has to do is open up the email, click the link. If he's using a computer, click the link with his mouse. That's all you got to do. It's simple.
Okay.
He doesn't have to download any apps or anything like that.
Okay, open the email and click the link. Okay, got it.
Tell him to click the link that says StreamYards. It's a little link. All he has to do is click that with his mouse from his computer, and it's going to bring him into the studio. And then he can write his little name in or whatever, and he can, and then
you're in studio. Okay, got it. Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm literally doing this like right now. Okay, I just sent it. Okay. Okay, now that's live. That's cute. Yeah, now that's live. That's good. Okay, good.
Let me check.
Yeah, I want to thank your audience. You have a very strong audience. I follow you on Instagram and on Twitter, you and Lion's Den. And I want to thank your audience for being kind to me and so gracious and so engaging and informative. I love it. I believe that engagement is the power source, and these mediums are the platform. And I just think that by being engaged and consistently engaged, kind of a tag team kind of thing, that it's like a morale booster, like it gives you a little swag. It puts a little pep in your step to know that, hey, I too have a talk media platform that I can tune in and engage, and that my perspective is valid. I think validation is very critical right now. So people aren't walking around with their heads down and they're, just dazed in their phone. That people can walk with their head high and know that they matter. Oh, I wanted to show this shirt. This is from Nelson Mandela, and it says, "I never lose. I either win or I learn." There you go. Can you get it?
I enlarge your screen so everybody can see that.
This is a mindset.
I either win or okay.
I never lose. I either win or I learn. And those are the words of Nelson Mandela. And I wear this a lot. And everywhere I go, people say, "Oh my God, I love that." And you know what? It's a mindset shift, you guys. Everything starts from our mindset. You never lose. You either win or you learn, but you never lose. And as I
Right.
have always said, no matter what, know your value. And no matter what, know you matter.
Right.
And that is critical. I thought it was critical years ago, and it's even more so now. Get your mindset to where you are of value and you hold your head high and you walk damn proud because you matter.
That's right. What I'm gonna try to do is I sent myself the link, and I'm gonna copy and paste it over and see if I can just send it to him like this.
Okay.
Send if I don't know if you're talking to Alpha right now. Tell him I'm gonna send
Yeah,
him
I
a
just
link.
texted him. He
Maybe the
hasn't he hasn't responded yet, but I sent the text, literally like on air, like just now.
I'm gonna send him the link right now to the broadcast, and hopefully Alpha will be available to
I
come on.
know. You
You guys
guys
can
have
cook
to
for a little
you have to
while.
get Alpha on these airwaves.
Yeah. So let me send this to him. Tell him it's just a link. All he has to do is click that link, and he's good to go. Let me send him another one. Information man show, and then give him that link again. And all right.
Okay.
All just send him a message. All he has to do is hit the link, and he can come right on in.
Okay.
Let me read. We got my man George Frazier here. He says people really need to research these guys well.
Yes.
Let me see.
Yes.
Somebody says facts.
Hmm.
And then we got the great shark in here saying straight through unity. That's right.
Amen.
That's
That's
right.
right, baby.
Don't.
That's right.
So let me see. Lions Den. Let me pull out of this right here real
That's
quick.
right, baby.
Lions Den, brother. You got anything you want to add or say, brother? Let me there you go. Go ahead. Go ahead, Lions Den.
I think that what's important here is that, for me, it's basically when we're looking at politics, for example, that, people who's from ADOS, like, okay, for example, ADOS means American Descendants of Slavery. And, all the Democratic politicians who's like, for example, we want reparations. It's been a long time coming. We want reparations, want tangibles, but as you know, some Democratic candidates ignore what we want as Black people in this country. They ignore what they want. Some you say they want a study of reparations, and that's not what us Black people are looking for. And this is why our voice is so important, like yours, India. And like I said, I just couldn't believe that you retired from Blog Talk, because I always loved your show. I always loved your show. I just couldn't. And then remember, you and I was talking on Twitter, and then you were saying that. And I asked you, I said, "Were you retiring as a radio talk show host?" And then you saying, "Well, as of right now, I'm just trying to look for other adventures." With that being said, though, we need voices like yours, because now like I told you before, we're the reason why. We're the reason why that when without you guys, we will have no platforms. Info and I will not have any platforms. We don't have no podcasts or none of that if it wasn't for you, Janice Graham, Alpha, Cos Carson, and the late great Andre Eglishon. So my question to you is, India, is what makes your talk show one of the greatest on Blog Talk? One of the greatest.
Oh wow! I don't know if my I will say the IDECLAIR show was one of the earliest on Blog Talk. I've been podcasting for 12 years, so that's kind of I can't believe that in itself. But I just always committed to um, just sharing, just as we were just saying, sharing a valid perspective. I remember picking up my daughter from school, and I remember listening to one of the right wing guys, and I just thought, I'm just sick of hearing that. I'm just sick of always hearing someone else's perspective. And it just be snowballed and validated. And I just said, you know what, shit, I can do that. And so I just started my own thing. And and it was really about creating um, a vessel that is authentic to our journey, to the journey of people that look like me. And I'm not saying we're all the same, but I am saying that there are commonalities and common threads, and this constant, media denigration. That's just enough of that. And you guys know, I have I've gone to seminars and met these people, and who are on the radio every day. They know who I am. I know who they are. We've shaken hands and that kind of thing. And I just told them right to their face, the country just doesn't look like the people in this room. And so you're talking to yourselves, and so I told them direct, and so I just came back and got back to my podcast and just started doing my own thing. And so I just believe that all of our voices matter, that your voice matters, LD, your journey matters, that Information Man and his walk and his experience. I love when Information Man comes to the airwaves and speaks on that brotherhood. We need to hear that. I can't turn on CNN and hear that. I can't turn on traditional media and hear that. The only way that we're going to get these earthy, real, authentic truths is through alternative media. And I'm just humbled to be a part of it. You guys are doing what I believe is the next wave of media innovation.
Well, let me say this, because there's a brother in here who talks about. Let me see. Let me acknowledge this brother. He came in and made some good statements. We got Screen, if I'm saying it right, Screen Learning. He made some good points about the need of mentorship, opportunity at asking to speak to classes, boys. We have where I live at. We have there's a program where we identify young youth that are at risk in the school district. We try to so the goal is to try to capture young men and young ladies before they are in dire strait, and
Yes.
then you work with the parents. Some would say, well, what about the fathers of these kids? They got to hold them accountable. Well, there's parenting groups that can be a part of this, because I know this because there's a program that my fraternity operates where I live at, where they bring the fathers and the mothers, a parenting group, to help them deal with the issues that they have to deal with their relationship as it relates to the child. And then we have brothers who come out and speak to the kids so that they can see Black men and women that are in professions that they may be interested in. Like I said, skilled trades, entrepreneurship, what have you. So
Yes.
some would say that, well, you're only this, and I hate this, India. Some would say, well, you're only getting to a few. You're not really getting to the masses. There's always a diamond in the rough. You might change and transform a mind of a child who could be the child that discovers a cure to a disease, or a child who creates something that saves our lives. So therefore, we should not speak in small numbers, because those small number of Black children could be the small number of Black children that can transform a community. Now, it's not being done in small numbers because why? We've got hundreds of undergrad and alumni chapters across the country, and we're international and national. And there are other Black fraternities and sororities, and there are other groups like 100 Black Men. There are other groups. You got Prince Hall Masons, which are mostly African American men. You have various groups and female or women's groups. Eastern Star, whatever the organization that they're a part of
Sure.
that are doing something in various chapters in cities all across the country. Now, are we carrying the problem in one fell swoop right now? No, it takes work.
Right.
It takes work. See, we live in an instant society where we have instant tea, instant coffee. We want things done. The problem is people who talk like that, they really don't want to pull up their sleeves and get the work done. So what they do when you tell them that you're a part of something that's helping the black community or some black communities where you are, the first thing that they'll say is, "Oh, well, you're not really you may be working with a handful of kids, but that ain't really solving the problem." Well, what the hell is solving the problem then? You got to start somewhere. And that's why I always say, no matter where you live in the world, in your small bubble, get involved with an organization
Right.
or support a organization if you can't physically have the time to work with kids.
Right.
Now, it starts with family. If you got a nephew, a niece, a son, whoever, work with them. Don't let them go astray.
Right.
The only way we fix these problems is not by always talking about them, but doing something about them. Now, on these YouTube streets that I've been involved in, people like to use the word "you're a cleanup man" if you're involved in trying to transform the community, because the old adage is that, well, the community is the way it is because you had bum individuals, bum, you know what, ninjas who didn't do their job as fathers, so they bounced. And now look at the community. It's run by women, and now it's running amok. Well, guess what? It's always going to be like that in those type of communities that are socially low economic. If nothing is done, it continues to permeate itself. I know for a fact when I did work in the Sunnydale housing project area of San Francisco near the Cow Palace, as we called it, the kids that I worked with when I was in college with no money in my pocket, by the way, they have a better life today because we as young 20-something year in our 20s, I was probably 19, 20 years old. We made a difference.
Yes.
Brothers graduated. They came back. They got grants and loans. We turned it into a boys and girls club. There was a program there for youth that are coming out of juvenile. It was college. Now, I'm not saying this to say that only college brothers can do this. You don't have to go to college to do this. You know why? Because none of us had degrees when we were doing it. We just happened to be in school trying to get our degrees. But you can do this without having a college education. So college education is not the requirement. The requirement is your willpower and your love for your people. That's what I have to say to everybody listening on YouTube and will listen to this, that we spend too much time talking about problems, getting on chat rooms, talking about black folks as racist. Black folks, we are not racist. We can have a prejudice against people, but racism equals power, and we don't have any power. And if you acquaint that to other black people being prejudiced against other black people, yeah, black people can be nasty to each other, but guess what? You still ain't really got no power. You really don't. Because at the end of the day, we don't own these neighborhoods that we live in when it comes to these urban communities. We don't own them, but we're fighting over. I deal with it. You got guys in prison that are in there doing time because they're fighting over blocks that don't even belong to them. You just occupying the land. You don't really own it. You don't own the neighborhood you think you're in. Okay. And so my argument tonight as far as solutions is that it's going to take what you're doing in your individual bubble. That's the bottom line. It ain't no easy answer to it. Ain't no pill we can take to make it all go away. It has to start. And it has to start if black men out there who don't like feminism, the only way that our young men are going to change is that we have to inject masculinity, proper masculinity, by the way, into their life. Proper masculinity ain't how many big muscles you got, how many women you can sleep with. It's your actions and responsibilities.
Yes.
You must share power, as Joe Madison always says. What is the essence of power? Is you want to share power, responsibilities. You have to have responsibility and you have to have power, and you have to have resources. We must share resources, power, and responsibility if we're going to change anything that we don't like about what's happening in the black community. If we don't like this thing about black on black crime, then what are we doing to deal with young men who are engaging in crime? Because I deal with young men and have dealt with young men even before I start working where I work at now, who engage in criminal activity, and I take the time to talk to them, find out why are they engaging in criminal activity.
Right.
Lions, then you got anything you want to say, brother?
I would like to say this info to add what you were saying. I think that young men out there need leaders. And so, how can we be leaders? We have to show these young men that we don't have to be thugs to be successful. We don't have to be like you said, be having muscles or ready to fight people just to know that you're the man. It's a difference between a man and a real man. I'm gonna keep it real. There's a difference here. A real man is showing that you are a leader. You are successful. You are everything that a man should be. And there's a man that just want to get along to go along. But my point is this. I think the only thing we should do in this situation, and I think you, Info, and India will agree with me in this, is that unity matters. That's the thing. Unity matters. Without unity, it's nothing. I think without black unity, it's nothing. So
Let
go
me
ahead.
say to George Frazier in the chat room, because he was asking me about, are you talking about our kids going to get college education? It to me, whatever the young man or young lady's skill set is, if that young man doesn't want to go to college, but maybe he's got a talent for something else, then you steer him and encourage him to engage in the talent that he has, that he feels the most passionate about. Should our kids get a college education? I mean, Tone Talks and Yvette Carlett, they talk about how a college education does not equate to being rich or that you're going to have complete generational wealth. But I do know that when you go to college and you get skills and certain things, it can't open up doors of other employment opportunities and entrepreneur opportunities that you would not have without that degree. It's already been proven with a college education, you do have a little bit more earning power if you have a skill, but you can have a lot of earning power. Hell, you got truck drivers that make a lot of money. You got people that goes into real estate. So if a kid wants to go into real estate, then we should gear him towards exploring real estate. Whatever they are passionate about, don't hold them back. So I'm not on here just saying it's just about college. It's about any and everything that we can get our kids involved in. The most powerful thing that we underestimate, folks, is imagination. Imagination is the most powerful thing. You know why? Because all of us in this chat room and on this panel, we had to imaginate something in our minds first, such as I want to be a doctor, I want to be a lawyer, I want to be a basketball player, right? When I was a kid, I wanted to be in the NBA. So I had to imagine myself in the NBA and get out there and play basketball, right? So everything that you do has to be in your imagination first. You're inspiring to be something. So imagination is very powerful. We must stimulate the imagination of young kids when we mentor them.
Yes.
By introducing them to things that they have not been introduced to. For example, taking them out of the community that they live in. If that community is in shambles and a mess, you got to take the kids out of that and let them see other things. Take them on trips. They've got to see that there's other ways of life, and you got to let them see black people living that way of life so that they can see themselves projecting to that. Why is it that young white males in particular are able to go and, besides racism, they're able to do what they do? Because they watch their fathers and they watch other white men in this society that are in power. They have an example of what it is that they could become. They have examples. Why is it that black kids can't have examples such as STEM? We got to get our kids more in STEM. Young ladies are involved in STEM even more than young black males. So, India, you got anything you want to add as we get
Yes,
close to conclusion tonight?
all I can say is, I've been involved in this journey of like relocation and like in getting like my home together and in a position to sell and that kind of thing. And I
Right.
tell you, it has truly been a learning experience. And one of the experiences, we bought a new water heater, and I went to the plumbing supply and bought the water heater and spoke to a gentleman and hired the plumber to come and install the water heater. And he brought his son with him, and so he installed the water heater. And what the water heater was extremely expensive to install, and he needed to go on the ceiling on the roof and do something there with the vent or whatever. And then
Right.
he said, well, if I go on the roof, that's going to be an additional $150. And I said, well, how long will it take you to be on the roof? And he said, I'll be
Tell
on
the
the roof
truth.
about 7 minutes. And I said, about 7 minutes, $150. And so I told his son, I said, baby, I don't know what you plan to do. But your daddy just made damn near $700 in less than 30 minutes. Now, I paid my plumber more than I paid my accountant to do the taxes.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had my home painted. I have paid painters, and this is cash. So I don't know whether they declare it on taxation or not. So the whole degree thing, um, don't be afraid of skilled labor. Skilled labor is a tremendously overlooked vocation, and these cats are rolling fat. Okay, I mean,
Right.
my electrician, we upgraded the kitchen lights. Boo Boo drives up in a badass four-door truck. I'm just like, I mean, like these cats are like getting over like fat. So don't just think of employee and suit and tie, and I'm gonna go in the corporate job and have my cute little briefcase and all that. Don't be afraid to put some overalls on and get your hands dirty and go up in somebody's attic and change the air conditioner pan, because that cat probably makes more in that 24 minutes than the cat spending 8 to 12 hours a day, taking orders from somebody else. Vocation can lead to vacation. So I'm just telling you what I mean, what I have had to do personally paying these cats. And these are not degree professionals. This is skilled labor, and they are getting over fat. Okay? So
You know,
there
you're
you
right
go.
about that. Plumbers are making a lot of money, so we should never
Who
sleep.
knew?
I think what happened is India is that, you know, black people over the years we've gotten very college oriented. That, you know, college. That's the way to success, right?
Mhm.
And to be quite honest with you, and you know this, sister, it was the skilled trades where black people excelled the most at one point in
You
time.
better come on. Thank
Now,
you.
now, 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 hear me roar right now, okay?
Okay, you better come on.
Hear me roar. Hear me roar too. Now,
Okay.
check this out, sisters. Check this out. Remember who were the Smiths? Who were the guys who fixed the what do you call that? God, I just lost my thought. The somebody in the chat room help me out. What do they call that skilled trade? The ironsmiths.
Yes, the iron ore.
Ironsmiths. When
Absolutely.
you look at the
Absolutely.
history of this country with plantations and all, that's why I keep saying black people, we built this country. That's why we deserve reparations. I don't care what anybody says about difference about that, because some of the first people in this country that were ironsmiths were black men. Matter of fact, they were the first in that profession, because when you
Right.
had slave plantations, they had black men working as
Right.
is it
Who
irons?
who who laid those railroad tracks to go from coast to coast?
Exactly. And
Right.
so, and I know the Chinese came over to work the railroad, but guess what? They came over to work the railroad by their own choice. They got paid for it. Black folks never
We
got
were
paid.
here before them.
Yeah. Black folks never got paid for our labor. But other groups who came over, they got some kind of trick. They got some money, or
Of course.
they got opportunity for citizenship. Black folks, we didn't get one dime. But I'm
Yeah,
saying this to say,
I think you're really onto something. I think that look, I think that what's old is new again, and these cats, these skilled labor cats, these vocational cats, they're on the phone. They write their own. They work on their own terms. The cats, that redid the tub and all that. He's redoing the tub. I'm paying him cash. I don't know how much he declares to the IRS or whatever. I just know I got my receipt and I paid him, what I owe. Okay, so he's on the phone. Yeah, I'm here with Miss India, and so let me get back to you as soon as I get her done. Then I'll get you. I mean, I'm like. There is a tremendous business in vocational work, and the demand. The guy that redid our everything had to be redone. The guy that redid our shower door, I mean, it's like $600 for a shower door. And you know what he told me? Because I talked to everybody. He said, I worked in Miami. I wanted to spend some time in Miami, so I worked for a hotel. We put shower doors in all the hotels. And he said, the shower doors in a hotel, they really use them up fast. So he said, like we have a contract with a hotel, and I mean, they go through a lot of shower doors. I'm just like, and then he goes, I wanted to come here and kind of see what this is like. But he's got demand everywhere, and all the guy is doing is putting in shower doors. And you know who he had with him? His son.
Right. Let me correct. Somebody helped me in the chat room. It's a blacksmith. Blacksmith was the correct word. So blacksmith originally were black men. So we've been working with skilled trades for a long time, and that's one of the things that black people had locked up at one point in time. Even when it comes to landscaping and all this kind of stuff, we were doing all these kind of jobs, and then for something,
absolutely. And I really think we really need to look at that, because there is.
India, you're kind of breaking up. Wait a minute, you're breaking up a little bit. That's why I had to mute. You kind of breaking up. This that something is breaking. Let me just say this, India, and you're absolutely right. A lot of what happened is black people, we got very enamored with the idea of going to college. College was the way. And then we got away from the skilled trades, encouraging kids for skilled trades. And so now, as we have moved away from skilled trades, other groups have walked in and said, wait a minute, we can make a lot of money. So when you think about it, the majority of your plumbers and all these type of skilled trades, the majority of them in this country should have been black people. And matter of fact, if you look at every group in this country, they've got something locked up, right? They got some type of profession. They got some type of area of employment or economic opportunity. They got it locked up as a group. Now, the thing I'm going to say right now that may be very sad, and I'm asking everybody in the chat room, what do black people have locked up in America? Because every other group has got something locked up. What do we got locked up? Hell, we thought that we had music locked up, and we ain't got that locked up no more. So we the question to go back to the drawing board, and to everybody in the chat room, and I'm going to read what you're saying. What do we have locked up? As meaning, when you think about black people outside of negative stuff, we should be synonymous with some type of industry. Right now, everybody listening, you can think about any ethnic group in this country, and I bet you can associate them with some type of economic business. When you think about, come on now, do I have to name names? So the question is, we can't say music anymore or even rap, because we ain't got that locked up no more. Okay, now. Don't say sports, because you're working for somebody else.
Absolutely.
That's you're an employee, or you're the labor playing in their industry that they created for you to play in.
Come on.
And you're also getting your brains knocked out playing football, which is a whole nother other issue, because a lot of black men are the ones getting that schizophrenia and getting their brains knocked out playing football. And everybody's going to be watching football this season, and realize that most of those black men on the field, their bodies are being destroyed. Matter of fact, it's been destroyed since they were teens playing football, since they were teen kids. Their brains have been getting destroyed playing football. I'm sorry, it doesn't sound popular what I'm saying to those of you who like the NFL, but black men are the ones being destroyed on those football fields. And we're doing it voluntarily because we're getting a check. We're getting the biggest butter biscuits called a NFL check. India, you have anything else you want to add as we
All I can say
to a
is
conclusion
thank
tonight?
you, thank you, thank you. What you have said is the truth, and you're right. It might not be the most popular dialogue, but it is the most accurate. And I thank you, sir. And I hope that people will take into consideration what has been said here on this very fine program, and think about it. And I would say what we have locked up tragically is consumerism. And until we do a
Wait a minute, say that
mindset
again.
reset on that, because we drop over $1 billion every 12 months. I think it's about 2.5 billion now, every 12 months. And so we have a tremendous amount of power, and it is being misallocated, and it is being misallocated to the benefit of everyone else and to the detriment of ourselves. And until we get a hold of that, and that's a mindset reset. That's what needs to be done. And until that takes place, you will only continue more of the same. Information man, I have mad respect for you and LD, and I cannot thank you enough for sharing your platform with me this evening.
Don't leave yet, India, because I have something I have to comment, some comments here. We got Screen Learner who says, Information Man show, black people have the church locked up. There are like an average of 4 per black neighborhood. Now, let me tell you why we don't have the church locked up. I'm going to tell you my opinion why. You have to look at who gave us the good book and who gave us the church, all wrapped up into one. So if you think about it, we don't even really own that. Now, you may have a preacher who owns the physical building and all that kind of stuff, right? But we don't even own that because I'm sorry, I'm hurting some folks tonight. The religious doctrine was placed on us through slavery. It was the Europeans' way to indoctrinate us. So even the very thing that we think we're in charge of, such as the church, we may own the physical building, we may gather physically together, but we don't own, but our physical mindset, they got it. They got our minds because they use their Bible. How many of y'all got a picture of white Jesus in your household? How many of y'all went to church and saw a picture of white Jesus in the church? And your grandparents and very family members have that picture of that image. That image is telling you right there that God is the God. The white man is God. God is the white man. That's who you worship. So therefore, they got your mind. So even our religion, we don't even have that locked up because we're using the mindset that they gave us. We're using the cultural conditioning that they gave us through the Bible to manipulate us. Does not mean that God is not real. Does not mean I'm not saying anybody not be a spiritual person, don't believe in a higher being. I'm saying that the book, the Bible or the religion was given to you by a human, by a man. And usually they give you their interpretation. Look. I come up at the time with a friend of mine, or I have some friends who lost their whole family messing around with that Jim Jones character, who led them astray with the good book to capture their minds. And their families got wiped out messing around with Jim. That church was in the neighborhood I lived in. That Jim Jones stuff, I've been around people that were involved in that stuff. Because what happens is, it's nothing wrong with religion. It's nothing wrong with believing in God. It's when humans get involved in it and they push their interpretation of religion on you. And then it becomes something else. That's why you got Creflo Dollar running around talking about buy me a plane. What that got to do with God buying him a plane so he can fly around in luxury? What they got to do? God, I mean, Jesus, when he was on the earth, if you believe in Jesus, last time I checked, Jesus wasn't flying in no plane. He was walking around with his sandals on. If he even had sandals. We don't even know that. We only know what they illustrate for us in pictures.
Come on.
In pictures. That's all we know. Now we can say that Jesus was a black man. There's some that say that Jesus did not exist. If you do some more research, I'm buffling feathers here. I'm not saying it's what I believe. I'm just putting it out there. So that's what I want to say. Every group has something locked down. I'm talking about something that makes economic, because a lot of these preachers are making money, but the flock that they're that's following them is poor and broken out of doors sometimes in some of these churches, right? And so,
Right.
I mean,
Straight game.
I don't know. I'm not telling nobody to not believe in God. Don't get me wrong. I'm not telling nobody to be anti-believing in your God.
Sure.
I'm just saying we have to examine the things that we have been given when we grew up. We must examine what we've been taught. Soul illusionist, thank you for being here. I gotta say what's up to you. Let's see what my man's screen. Oh, he says, "Are you serious? Can you please drop that story link in the chat? I will try, George. That in okay. They're talking to each other in there. Well, India. Oh, what's going on? Tasty Mafia. What's going on, man? It's good to have you here.
That's hilarious.
I've been following his channel. What's going on, man? I'm glad to see you here. Peace to you. Check out the Tasty Mafia. He's got a great channel. He's, how India, you got channels on YouTube where people eat food and they do these food reviews, and they do this thing called mukbang, and all this kind of stuff, and they do reviews.
I love it.
And he interviews people, and they doing some good things. The Tasty Mafia. Peace to you.
I love that. I will definitely check his channel out.
Yeah, I mean, people got some clever names on YouTube they come up with. George Fraser, she got sued for not paying her money to a man for his gain. Not paying her money. What is that about, George? What are you talking about in there, brother? And then we got Information Man, read the book How to Make a Negro Christian by Charles Kirkland Jones. Very eye-opening book. I will check it out, brother. I will definitely check that out. So, India, I thank you for coming over. I know we've been doing it late night right now. I want to tell you right now, we got to have you back. I think folks really liked what you had to say tonight. So we got to bring you back in here some occasionally when you have time, of course.
Absolutely.
To lay us with some more of those jewels, those knowledge that you put on us tonight.
You guys are so sweet. Info, thank you so much. LD, thank you so very much. And to your dear audience, thank you guys so very much. I love the different channels, and so I will definitely be checking out you guys. And this is great. This has been great. Thank you. It's I'm always humbled to take the airwaves, and so just tremendously honored. Thank you so much, Information Man.
To have you here. It's been a long time coming. I've been wanting you to come over here for quite some time, and now that I have a way. Oh, look at that shirt! Wonderful shirt. Everybody can see that too. I got you enlarged. And hopefully I'll make contact with my man Alpha and get him on over here. And me and Alpha can shoot the breeze as well.
Absolutely. And I will be watching that. I will be watching that.
What I would really like to do, though? We got to figure out how we can do it. Okay. I would really love to get you, Alpha, Lee Michaels, all you guys on and just let you guys talk and do the things that you guys did before or do, and let people hear how you guys just do it. I'm just gonna sit back and moderate and just let you guys do your thing. I would really love it.
Are you kidding? I would show up early.
Yeah, and then what I want to do is I'm gonna get, because I gotta wait. I can reach Brother Basin, get him on too, and just let you guys do what y'all do.
Oh yes, yes, Chris Bass, yes,
Chris
the bass man, please. Oh,
yeah.
Well,
I'm already watching this tonight. He probably watching this tonight.
Hello, Chris. It's so good I just cannot wait to catch up. So
yeah. So what I'll do.
So I'm already there. Just let me know when, and we gotta
coordinate everybody's schedules. Your schedule with Chris Bass, Alpha. Get you on here. Because I want to definitely bring Lee Michaels on to talk more about his career, what he's done, because he's fantastic. So I'll reach out to him on the Facebook and all that good stuff.
Absolutely.
I appreciate you being here.
The pleasure has been all mine. Congratulations on a fantastic show. You are popping on Instagram and Twitter. I see you all the time. And so, the only direction is forward and up, baby. And clearly, you are taking both lanes. So, you know what you're doing. Keep doing it. It's fabulous. And I'm so
Okay.
proud.
Indy, I love you.
Love
Thank you for
too,
being
baby.
here. And
Thank
we
you
will do
so
this again,
much.
sister. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Bye, you guys.
Bye. Okay, everybody. That was India on, and she's fantastic. Let me do something real quick as I give everybody respect in the chat room. Bam. All right, everybody. Let me go to the chat room and give a little bit of hunch. Peace to you, Tasty Mafia. I'm glad you're here. Then we got the guy from Texas. Thank you for being here. The guy from Texas again. Then we got the great Black Shark. He says, thank you to the panel for your time. Great broadcast info, man. Thank you, great Black Shark. Then we got, Tasty Mafia. I'm just glad to have you here. Sorry about that. But I'm glad to have you here, Tasty Mafia. Sister, thank you for being here. That's what I got to say to you. Thank you for being here. My bad on that, but thank you for being here. I appreciate your support. And now we got George Frazier, the Tasty Mafia again. Screen Learning, peace to you. Soul Illusionist, thank you for being here. Anita B. All right. And I didn't say what's up to my man Little Rock 2517. Thank you for being here. Appreciate you being here. And we got my man Sunny Boxing Talk. And if I'm saying your name right, sister, thank you for that. Saying that I had a great show tonight. Thank you, Tasha. If I'm saying that name, if your name right, Anita B again. Everybody out there that will be listening to this broadcast that were not in the chat room and not listening to this live, I just want to say I apologize for some of the sound issues tonight on the stream. Believe me, I want the sound to be crystal clear for you. This streaming system that I'm using, it has some bugs in it. The people that created this are going to have to work it out, figure it out, because it's extremely sensitive. But I did discover tonight, because of everyone in the chat room, that on my mix board, I have to bring a certain volume down that would cut through some of the scattered sound. So I want to definitely tell everybody, if the sound, when it didn't sound right, I apologize for that. I'm trying my best. I want the sound to be great. But when you're using these streams and you're using these different things like this, sometimes there's going to be bugs here and there. I appreciate everybody for being here tonight and being a part of the presentation. Do me a favor. I know that there'll be a lot more people that will watch this on the repeat that were here in the chat room or watching tonight live per se. But I want everybody to do me a favor, if you can, share this stream through your social media, your Instagram, your Facebook, so other people can watch and pick up on what we're doing here and pick up on the show. I'm going to keep doing this. And another announcement. I have a lovely young lady coming on with me in the morning now at 9:30 a.m. Western time. I'm going to be on, which will be 10, 11, 12:30 Central Time and 1:30 Eastern Time, depending on where you are, and 9:30 a.m. Western Time. I have a young lady that I have the privilege of actually working with. She was an intern where I am employed. She is a music therapist. I work around a lot of different therapists, and we're going to talk about music therapy as it relates to the Black community, how music therapy is very effective. Now, when I say music therapy, I'm not just talking about turning on music and listening to it, but I'm talking about there is a therapy There is a system of how you can utilize music in your life as that can help you as a coping skill, help you with depression, help you with many things. Because as you know, music is the only thing that can enter your self-conscious mind without your permission. So she was doing an internship. She's going to be a great professional. I'm hoping that she'll be working with me, and I'm interviewing this young lady. She lives in Kansas City, and she's going to talk about the impact and the effectiveness of music therapy. There's a thing called art therapy, but there's music therapy and how it impacts and will help Black people, because we use music therapy when we deal with the inmates with where I work at. Music therapy is very effective as a treatment. So definitely check me out tomorrow. I'm going to get off of here tonight and get ready to prepare for that before I even hit the bed. And I thank everybody again for being here. You are the best, all of you. Indy, MJ, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here. Thank you for coming through. I'm about to end the stream. Watch it on a repeat. Please share it in your social media. I'm going to run through everything everyone is saying as we end. Thank you, everybody.
Information is power.
Information Man Show.
Tell the truth.
You are listening to Information Man. Please make sure to subscribe to his channel.
Tell the truth.
Information is power.
Peace, everybody. Thank you for being here. You guys have been great tonight. I'm seeing a lot of people that's in this chat room that have been consistently rocking with me. And I'm going to tell you right now, I appreciate that. You guys are great. Ladies, brothers, queens, kings, whatever we want to say. Moors, dark matter, black people, African American, whatever you feel comfortable with. You all are the best. I don't care how little people I have in the chat room or how many. All I know is I would rather have people that are really rocking with what I'm trying to do here versus people who are just haters and people who are really not about what's good for what's best for our people on the positive side. So to me, there's an old saying, many are called, but few are chosen. Many are called, but few are chosen. I would rather have an army of a few people that are 100% on the same page, rock solid about what is for the best for our people versus people who want to make criticisms but have no solutions. And that just ain't gonna pay the bills. That just ain't gonna do it. We can talk about our problems. I certainly do talk about what the problems are, but we do have to have solutions. And I encourage everybody to get out there in your community and do what you can to make your small bubble of where you are better than it was before. It starts with family. It starts with your kids, your family members, people that you know. And not to sound too preachy, but I just think that that's a positive. I want to feel in the positive. I've been on panels. I've gotten in debates with people. I've gotten angry sometimes, showed a side of myself that isn't the best when you get into heated battles. But it doesn't make sense to get into heated battles with people that you're not going to ever meet, that are thousands of miles away, and especially if they're not looking for solutions, they're not solution oriented, then you can't have there's no future, and there is no incentive or nothing that can be created by dealing with someone and spending a lot of time with someone who has no solutions, not looking to change or improve anything, but just want to stay in the slop of these are what the problems are, but I ain't got no answers and I ain't gonna do nothing and I don't want to do nothing. If our ancestors had that attitude, all of us would still be in shackle slavery today. If our ancestors had not did something when they were in more dire strait than we are today. Maybe we're not in physical chains anymore, but we damn sure are in mental chains. Not physical chains anymore, but mental chains. Good night, everybody.